Welcome back to the Pesky Report. This is episode 514 of the Pesky Report, brought to you by Beyond the Monster. My name is Derek, and I'm here with Jake and Hunter as normal for your minor league show. And we once again have a very special guest. We're thankful to be joined by Red Sox prospect and Red Sox 2025 draftee, Maximus Martin. Maximus, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
We're very excited to have you. I will just mention at the top of the show, you're the first guest that we have had that is younger than me. So Jake and Hunter will be happy with that. So they've been ragging on me at times for me being extremely young.
No. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
No, I rag on Jake for being old.
There's age discrimination regularly on this podcast.
Sometimes. But with that, as is kind of tradition here, I will hand the floor to Jake for the first question. So Jake, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So Maximus, we really appreciate you doing this. I want to start by asking you about, I feel like the last few years for you have been, you've had quite a journey, like in terms of you are a senior in high school, then each of your 3 years of college, you're at a different school.
All right.
And then you get drafted this year. You start with Salem, and one of the news pieces is that since the last time that this show was recorded, you got promoted to Greenville. So have you gotten used to not staying in one place for very long?
Yeah, I've gotten used to it. I just from over the past couple of years, always bouncing around, and I've been in at least 2 different states each year, living there, for extended amounts of time. So that's just a part of my life now, and I've gotten used to it a little bit. So this is no difference than from what I'm used to.
So when you got the call last week that you were being promoted to Greenville, it was kind of just, okay, gonna roll with the punches again. You only played in Salem with the Salem Red Sox for 14 games, and then you're moving on. So what was that conversation like? I assume it was man, I keep forgetting who the manager is in Salem now, because it was your current manager now, Liam Carroll. But
Chavi.
I'm sorry.
His name's Chavi.
Oh, okay, right.
Ozzy Chavez.
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So what was that? What was that conversation like? What was that moment like? And how did you feel when you got that news?
Yeah, it was during the game was actually it was a canceled game, so we all went back to the locker room, and we have one of our head hitting directors that was there in Salem visiting, and another one of the head directors, Abe's, was there. They just filter their way through the affiliate teams and kind of stop by and see how everybody's doing. And they pulled me in the office, and I wasn't really sure what to expect. I didn't necessarily, think I was going up. But they just said, hey, we're sending some people up to AA, and we think, you've done a good job of, getting better each day you've been in Salem. So we're going to send you to Greenville to help out with the playoff push. And, it was cool because the first game I got to Greenville, we were just on the road at the Spartanburg, and first game I was there, we won and clinched the playoff spot. So it was a cool experience, to be a part of the team. And now it's just going from here.
Obviously, like you and Jake were just talking about how you spent the first 14 games of your minor league career in Salem. Something we talk about pretty often is how pitcher friendly and how unfriendly to hitters Salem's ballpark is. For example, your first career double should have been a home run. It was high off the wall, very hard hit. What was what was it like playing in Salem's ballpark? Was it a little frustrating at times to be like, to feel like you hit a ball really hard and it's like, I have to settle for a double here. Or, oh man, that died on the warning track.
Yeah, sometimes it sucks. Sometimes you feel like, you're just in this big, castle dome, where you have to really drop down, to get it out. But I mean, the main part is just getting on base anyway. And, obviously home runs are a lot cooler than doubles. But, if you have to settle for a double at the end of the day, I think anybody would take that. But yeah, it's annoying at times, but it kind of just it is what it is. Every ballpark is different,
Yeah.
and it's something you gotta get used to.
And then you get the promotion to Greenville, like you said. You join, you guys win a game, make the clinch a playoff spot. Since you've gotten there, you've had a hit in all 3 games. I believe it's 4 for 9. You have 4 walks. You drew 3 yesterday. So obviously it's only been 3 games, but what has that adjustment been like? It seems like you've been handling it well. But have you noticed a significant difference?
Not a huge difference. I think some guys here are a little bit older. So back in Salem, there's a lot of younger guys that
Yeah.
come from Florida complex, and being here is just more people my age. Everybody's pretty much from that age. Like there's a couple exceptions, but everybody's mostly almost 20 to like 20 to 23 is kind of that sweet spot of age range. So everybody's almost in that same spot in life, where everybody's at that age where you're either out of college or you're about that age where you would be out of college, and you kind of more grown and mature. So it's cool being around people closer to my age now, but um, not a huge difference. Just same game, just different teammates and um, different circumstances. But you just learn to love it regardless of where you're at.
Has there been someone in the Greenville locker room that has helped you adjust?
I mean, it was nice seeing my 2 other uh, class of 25 draftees, Mason White and Henry Godbout, in there, just because we spent some time in Florida and Fort Myers together. Before the Mason was with me in Salem for a little bit, and then he's been in Greenville. One more week. So it was cool to kind of reunite with Mason and Henry again. So we've been spending some time and just getting to know some other guys, but just some familiar faces makes it a little bit easier to transition to playing with a new team so fast.
So Hunter brought up the ballpark in Salem. I kind of want to ask a little bit on the ballpark in Greenville. You haven't played in Greenville yet, but you do have a home series upcoming. Are you excited to maybe potentially get the chance to go apartment hunting? We talk about it all the time on the show with the apartment buildings kind of in left field. Might be a little bit more towards left center. It's still more left field. But are you kind of excited, whether it's in batting practice or especially in the game, to kind of have a chance to maybe, I don't know if you can shadow a window. I don't know what those windows are made out of, but maybe make some people fear for their life in those apartments.
Yeah, I'm excited to get and play in kind of like a Fenway replica park with a green monster. And when I was in high school, I got to play at Fenway a couple times, so I've been in the park like that and got to experience that type of atmosphere. And it's nice knowing you have that monster right there, so you can pull a ball, hit off the top, and it's almost a for sure double. And if you just get it up high enough, you can get a 4-bagger. So I'm looking forward to playing at home and meeting some people and some fans and just getting an experience of playing at Greenville. And then hopefully next year, when the season starts up, I can play there again.
So let's talk about the draft process a little bit this year. You have an excellent season, and what was kind of your expectation going into the draft? did you have like an idea of when you thought you might get picked, and were the Red Sox a team that was kind of on your radar in terms of the possibility of picking you, or was it kind of more wide open? You thought that you could kind of go in any direction. What was your expectation going into the draft?
I think in the very beginning when, kind of pre-draft talks start to happen and teams reach out, it's super wide open in the air, unless you're a top 25 pick guy who's like a guaranteed first rounder and you're going to be a first rounder. Everybody else, sometimes it's up in the wind just because there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes logistically and financially that teams have to work out, in order to get certain players. And I didn't really have a set, range of where I thought I was going to go. Maybe personally I thought I'd get scooped up a little bit higher, but team wise, I talked to the Red Sox once, and that's it. So when I seen that they picked me, I was not confused, but just a little stunned. Just because I haven't talked to them as much, but it doesn't really matter. The only thing matters is someone picks you up and believes in you. So they're the team that believed in me the most at that time, and they gave me opportunity. So I'm nothing but grateful to them. But I did not know that was going to be the team that would pick me. No.
And when they drafted you, were there certain things that they said that they were, that they liked about you, or that they thought that you were kind of what made you a fit for the Red Sox organization, and or were there kind of things off the bat that maybe they were like, we like this about you, that kind of thing, but there's things that we think you need to work on, and it's this, and this. Like what were those like initial conversations like after the draft?
Think my primary power to the pull side. I hit a lot of home runs to the pull side, left center in college, and I can pull the bar pretty hard to the pull side. So that was something they look for most of their hitters, and Fenway being a righty friendly park, for the most part, guys that seem to hit the ball in the air have a lot of success there. So that was something that they like me for, and I'm a pretty aggressive swinger, you know, for the most part. And now I'm just trying to hone in on the strike zone a little bit better and find pitches that I can do damage with. And they talk to me, just about the swing and miss and pitch decision and figuring out what my strengths are as a player, to benefit them as a team and you know find the best ways I can help out offensively within my skill set. So, talking about it with the hitting directors and then coming, for the last, 3.5, 4 weeks of the minor league season, we're primarily right now, we're just working on pitch decision, swinging at strikes, taking balls is, the biggest thing that they've helped me with so far. And I feel a lot more comfortable now, that I've had a couple weeks and more playing experience. And I think it's showing a little bit. So that's kind of just what we're working on at the moment.
You mentioned a little bit ago playing at Fenway in high school. Can you touch on that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's called the Kelly Rodman Memorial Classic. Um, she worked for Major League Baseball and did a lot of like donations and charity. And then they usually split between they make a Red Sox team, then the Yankees team, and you go against the other people from the Northeast and you play. And I was on the Yankees team.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, just because I'm from Jersey and um, most of the guys got split up with them. And it's a high school and college based team and just go out and play like a showcase. So I had an amazing experience there. It was my first time. I pulled up to the field and remember talking the guys that are running it and said, you got to shave, be clean shaven, and I shaved my face a little too tight, and I had the worst razor burn ever going into that game. And I remember that, so that's why talking about it, is memorable for me. But other than that, getting to play at the great Fenway Park was amazing, and I think it's pretty special that I have an opportunity. Hopefully, if everything goes right and lines up, that I'll be able to play there again in the future.
And then you mentioned like the draft process and talking to them after getting drafted. In college, you played in the outfield, you played at second base, shortstop, you even played a little bit of third base. Since getting drafted, it's been mainly shortstop with some second base thrown in. Have they talked to you about a plan there? Does that seem like that's kind of where you're sticking, at least at the moment, is middle infield? Have they talked to you about testing the outfield again or getting thrown at third base?
Yeah, the main goal is to get as skilled as I can up the middle, but I there's big possibilities of me, going out into the outfield next year and being a part of the team that way also. So it's wide open at the moment. It's just hard to really focus on learning the position with only 2 weeks left in the season. So this is going to be more of a, when we have some overtime training this October coming up, we're going to work on, outfield a little bit and make sure I can, run around out there and get more comfortable. So this next, full minor league season coming up, I'm able to, be kind of like a utility player in that sense. And just with so many people moving up and down and, everybody plays a different position, just being able for me to be in the lineup and be a part of the team, whatever way I can, is something that we're going to work on. So that's primarily the plan right now, is just to be able to be useful anywhere on the field.
Is there a position you're most comfortable with, or just that you personally think you're the best at?
I'm more comfortable playing infield just because I've played there longer. But if I had spent more time in the outfield, I think I'll get just as comfortable out there. So really, I want to be able to be good at everything, so if there's opportunities that come up, I'm able to play certain positions. So right now it's just, you know, I'm lucky that I still have some time on my hands, and um, I still think I'm young for the most part. So I have some time to grow defensively, and I think there's a lot of opportunities in different positions going down the road. So I'm comfortable doing whatever I have to do to play.
On kind of this is a little bit not draft, but still kind of touching on your collegiate career. Uh, you did transfer twice, and I'm kind of interested to kind of hear from you just what the kind of process is of kind of that decision of when you're in college of saying, hey, I'm going to transfer to a different school, trying maybe get myself a bigger opportunity or whatever the reason is. You started at Rutgers, which New Jersey school, you went to high school in New Jersey. Then you go to Georgia State, and then you make the move to Kansas State. So like Jake, I think Jake, you mentioned earlier, just kind of moving around in terms of location wise, and now you're kind of doing that with playing in Salem and Greenville this year in your short time in the minor league system. But what's kind of the college, baseball kind of career like in terms of you start at one school, you transfer from Rutgers to Georgia State, and then you transfer to Kansas State. What was that like kind of throughout the years? And then what do you think kind of like the differences, what maybe differences did you see in yourself kind of going from school to school and as you grew as a player year to year?
All right. That's good. And so in high school, I was set on the draft, and personally, I was willing to take whatever money I was going to get in high school to go start playing right away, because that's what I wanted to do. Um, but uh, a lot of my family is in education, and both my parents are educators with college degrees, and um, my mom's extremely smart, and my dad has a doctorate degree, and they do a lot through the lens of school and that fun stuff. So for them, obviously going to college was super important. That I get started on my degree. Um, so kind of all made the decision that I was going to go to college and get started academically that way. So I made my way to Rutgers, and yeah, I was I was disappointed, that I was in college. I think because I was so ready to go start playing pro ball that I almost took away, that first year college experience for myself, just because I was so focused on the what could have been that I wasn't necessarily present. So, but I was super lucky to have a really good road roommate my first year in college, and he was a fifth year guy, older, a lot more mature, and he, I talked to him about a lot of stuff, and he kind of changed my mind of how I should be a little bit more grateful for what I was given, and kind of from there, um, I made the choice to give it my best shot while I was there. So I got to play a little bit, at Rutgers and had a couple start DH appearances and stuff like that. But, just wasn't the school where I was going to play and just didn't fit in with their culture. So made the decision to leave and transfer. Georgia State reached out and gave me a good offer, and I was going to be able to go play there. So I loved living in the city of Atlanta. It was super interesting, good and bad, interesting. And it was my first time, being away from home, not being in the Northeast. So I was in the South, and the personalities are different and the culture is different there. But I tend to like it, and I met a lot of amazing people, and I'm still extremely close to all my coaches at Georgia State. So my decision to leave there and find another school was nothing about my own personal relationships with them. It was just the best opportunity that I could take to get better for my draft year and play against better competition, so I could set myself up for the draft. And I was actually committed to Arkansas right out the portal. So I committed to go play for the Woo Pigs, and after the 24 draft, they had two high schoolers and three JUCO guys that didn't sign. And Coach Van Horn talked to me and said, you want to be able to go somewhere where you're going to be able to play every day for your draft year. Super important. So they gave me that, the chance to decide to stay if I wanted to stay or, go somewhere else. And they were super transparent and honest with me, and I appreciated it a lot. So they even reached out to some schools for me. And, eventually Kansas State reached out, gave me an offer, and, I rolled the dice once again with my life and took another chance. And it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I had an amazing time at Kansas State, and obviously I was in the Northeast, then the South, and then Midwest. So different again, different types of people, different culture, different weather. That winter sucked, man. I mean, negative 10, 12, 13, 14, insane. Um, but I loved it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world. And um, it gave me the opportunity to play, and then the opportunity for a team to pick me up. So there's nothing else more I could quite ask for. But super different every year. It's something else, and um, it's definitely helped me mature a lot. In different ways with how to interact with different people. So I think it well-rounded me for the time I was there.
One of the couple things you brought up in that was culture. And I always like to ask kind of a culture question in terms of, you mentioned being in different parts of the country and different personalities. And one of the fun things about the minor leagues is you have players from all over the place. You have people from, all across the US, people from all across the world in the minor leagues. What has that been like kind of going into a minor league system with the Red Sox where, in college, it's pretty much all American guys. Some guys might not be from the area of the school, but it's pretty much all American guys. Now you kind of come into a minor league system. You have guys from the Dominican, guys from Venezuela, guys from all over the world. And then even, your manager right now, Liam Carroll, being from the UK, just kind of that cultural melting pot. How has that been kind of adjusting to life as a major league prospect and the culture with the people coming from all over the world?
So where I think I was super lucky is that my hometown in New Jersey, in Edgewater Park, um, that it's a super diverse neighborhood and school district. So I went to school with people from Mediterranean, people from Africa, people from Brazil. So there's people who spoke Spanish, people who spoke Portuguese. Um, so I was, people who were Turkish. So I lived in an area where I've had all different types of people around me at all times. So honestly, coming here wasn't hard. I've never been in an area where it's predominantly just been one uh, category of persons, maybe other than high school, but other than that, I've grown up in a super diverse cultural area. So coming here is nothing different, other than obviously there's just more Latin, Spanish speaking people, but personality and just different people being around you. It's not a it's not a hard adjustment for me at all. So right now, I just learn a little Spanish and just go about my everyday life. Yeah.
So on that topic of like the part of the country that you grew up in, you mentioned that like Jersey, like you played in the game at Fenway and they lumped you in with the Yankees fans, whatever. But I believe, according to your Sox prospects page, that you were actually born in Philadelphia, and
Yep.
I'm guessing that the part of New Jersey that you grew up in was kind of more in that part of the state. So was that your? Did you have like? I guess it's a long way of asking like what your sports allegiances were growing up, or were you more of you followed individual players? Were there players that you liked, or in baseball, but even in other sports potentially? Like, how did that impact you growing up?
Yeah, I'm a wild horse. I like everybody. My mom is a diehard Phillies fan, diehard Eagles
Mhm.
fan. So she wasn't pissed, but she was pissed that the Red Sox drafted me. And when I had people come to kind of like my going away, ceremony, everybody that I'm close with, is our Phillies and Eagles fans. I have one coach that's a diehard Yankees fan, and he has, Yankees tattoos all over his body, all on his legs. And he said, man, you're the only kid that I'd ever think up a Boston Red Sox logo on my body for you, 'cause so
Wow.
nobody, where I'm at is are Red Sox fans, or fans of Boston, Massachusetts teams. So but me, I have no allegiance to any team. I just like sports. I'm not a big uh cutthroat dude, but obviously now I like the Sox. So.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Were there players like growing up that you like tried to model your game after, or even in other sports, were there other athletes you looked up to? Like where did you fall in that part of it?
I don't I don't know if you guys would know. You might know this player. He's his name's Andrelton Simmons.
Of course.
He, yeah, he's my favorite player, probably definitely favorite defender of all
Yeah.
time. Um, I don't think he was the most popular player to watch, but his I think his first 2 years in Atlanta when he's with the Braves, I thought he was the most insane shortstop I've ever seen. Every day I turned on Quick Pitch in the morning when Quick Pitch used to be a thing back in what with Kevin Pillar 2014 maybe
Yeah,
2015.
sounds
Those
about
were
right.
those
Something around
guys.
then. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing something crazy every single night.
Yeah.
I'll just watch his defensive highlights over and over and over again. So I try to model, my game after him. Obviously, I'm nowhere near his platinum glove level, but that was a player that I looked up to growing up.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, he bounced around a bit like later on in his career, but that guy always had the most insane range, like of any shortstop.
Yeah,
I put him up against anybody in his era, and he also had like an incredible throwing arm. Like my recollection was that they like the Braves had Elvis Andrus, right? And then I think they were like, well, we have Andrelton Simmons, and we're going to get rid of Elvis Andrus because we believe in his glove so much. So
yeah,
that says a lot. So yeah, no, absolutely, he was a heck of a player for a
yeah.
long time. Go ahead, Hunter.
So every year we do a draft preview, and every year I don't really want to discuss who I think the Red Sox are going to get in the first round because weird stuff happens. People end up for the last like 5 years, people have fallen. Um,
Mhm.
so I usually wait until the very end and then I just throw out a couple names. Uh, and it's usually just names that I don't do research on until the name pops out to me. And you were one of those people where I was like, Maximus Martin, that is like an elite tier baseball name. He's from Philly. I'm an hour out of Philly. I have 99% of my family's from New Jersey. Um, Interested about the name. Is that like a family name? Is there a reason behind it? Is there a reason you go by Maximus and not Max? Because I know that's kind of just like the shorter term. Um, I believe there was a Max Martin in this draft, also, wasn't there? Wasn't there
Yeah,
another Max Martin?
there was a Max Martin, uh, Maxim Martin that I just played in
Yeah,
Spartanburg.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was talking to him on second base. He's like, "Nice to meet you, Max Martin." I was like, "Nice to meet you too, bro." And so yeah, there's a couple, around the same area, but no Maximuses. Um, it was all my mom. She was pregnant with me. Her and my dad had went out to the movie theater and watched the movie The Gladiator, and obviously the name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, and that's where they kind of decided to name me Maximus and not Max. I don't know what my name was supposed to be, but they just said once they heard it, they knew they were going to name me Maximus, and they were bouncing around with Maximus Decimus Martin, but that might be a little long. So they just gave me the name Maximus, and I'm blessed. Some people don't like their name, but I absolutely love my name. So, whenever someone asks me, should I call you by your full name or just shorten it up, I always say, call me by full name, please. So, yeah,
It works perfectly for baseball because whenever you do something, people can post like gladiator
yeah,
highlights or gladiator gifs or
yes, yeah.
clips. Just throw out the "Are you not entertained?" So it works perfectly baseball wise. But obviously, you only spent 14 games in Salem. But was there anyone there that like really caught your eye, really impressed you on that Salem roster?
there, there was probably like 5 or 6 guys that watching playing, I could say they could probably be big leaguers for 5, 6+ years. Um, Obviously, Justin Gonzalez is a absolute freak, and he's only, he's a baby. Um, he's so young, high ceiling. Could definitely can be the next superstar, face of the Major League Baseball. So Obviously he's a no-brainer. I love the two guys that are in my draft class, Skylar King and Jack Monet. I think, I got to play against Skylar because he went to West Virginia, so he was in our conference. And, I can confidently say I think he has one of the best bat to ball skills that I've seen firsthand. And he has a super high upside for how he can play in the outfield because he makes ridiculous plays in the outfield. So
Yeah, he's already made a few with Salem.
once he gets going and starts getting out in the center field, I'm telling you, it's going to be absolutely insane. I've seen him do stuff that's crazy. And then Jack Monet, I think Jack Monet is a super interesting prospect for me. Um, I think I comp him to like Alec Bohm, defensively. Long levers, long arms, his long arm, um, and he kind of you know plays super wide. Just because he has so much length to him. So I'm super interested to see him play. Um, we have a infielder Starlin Nunez. Uh, I think he has incredibly high upside too. He's a super athlete, hits the ball super hard, and he's fast too. And then we have uh, U10, Nathaniel U10. Super wiry dude, but I mean, when you put the sensors on him and watch him hit and see how fast he swings the bat, it's insane how fast he swings. And he's 160 pounds, something like that. And he hits the ball 110 plus miles an hour at that size. So it's crazy. You know, Obviously, players, in uh, different parts of the world, they work on their skills, like their twitch skills, way differently than how American players are. But those guys have huge upsides, and obviously, I could name everybody on the team, if I wanted to, because they all have high ceilings. But those are the position guys for the most part that I like watching and are super super interesting.
When you hit your first home run, um, D'Angelo Ortiz and Justin Gonzalez were on base, and when you scored, uh, or when you crossed the plate, the most notable thing to me was, and it was something I pointed out, you are 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
You are not a small person, and Justin Gonzalez was you were like at his shoulders. And that is something that was brought up recently because who were you guys playing? It might have been in that series. Yeah, it was the Fred Nats announcer said that he was told by people on Salem that Justin Gonzalez is not the 6'4" that he is listed at. And that is something we've been trying to confirm. Do you know Justin Gonzalez's real height? Because there's no way that man's 6'4".
I think he's probably like 6'5", but this is honest. He's not 6'7", 6'8" like Aaron Judge height, but when he puts on his baseball uniform, he's a very large individual, and his hands are like claws. He's got like Kevin Durant hands. So if you see in the video when he taps me on the head, his hand like wraps around my helmet, and I'm wearing a large helmet, and he just like palms it. Uh, so he's not 6'8", 290, but he's a large dude with extremely long and big hands. So he's every bit of 6'5", 6'6" maybe that they make him out to be. So I'd say that's my confirmation on his height, but he's a large individual for his age.
I will just kind of circle back. You bring up the Taylor Uton. We had Nelly Taylor on after last season, and I did ask him, I'm like, there's no way a human being can be, listed at, I think the Taylor Uton was listed like absurdly small, like in terms of weight wise, like it was like absurd. And then Nelly Taylor told us 3% body fat, just like, and the wiry thing comes up, like makes sense, like you mentioned, like he's like, I don't know if like slim's the right word, but like he's skinny, but like he makes it work, and an interesting thing, and kind of, I guess, like the different, you mentioned Justin Gonzalez and his size. It feels like the Red Sox organization, though, and we mentioned this a lot on the pitching side of things, but there feels like there's still a lot of hitters even as well that aren't super that aren't super small either. Uton's not big, but he's taller, right?
Yeah.
Gonzalez is massive. Even you being 6 foot, like not small at all, right? And a lot of, kind of, guys who play all over the place. Like you did mention that you potentially could, if you want to play shortstop, second, third, especially third base. It's rare to see a smaller third baseman. Was that kind of something? Was your size maybe something you see as a little bit of an advantage? Obviously, you're not massive, but do you think being someone who's 6 foot or being 6 foot taller is giving you a little bit of an advantage, or is it just kind of that's the body you have and you make it work to the best of your abilities?
Yeah, I believe it's kind of just making it work and doing what I can with what I was given. I think every year there's going to be one kid that's 16 years old who's 6'7", who hits the ball 450 feet, and then the next year there's going to be some kid who's 6'8", who's 240 pounds by the time he's 18 years old, maybe even 16-year-olds that big, throwing 102. I think the game's just going to evolve, and as human nature, you know, that's just what's going to happen. People are going to get bigger, faster, stronger, and just like you're saying, I'm not the biggest dude, I'm not the strongest dude, I'm not necessarily the fastest dude, but I'm learning to make do with what my body can do, and I'm just trying to pull out every last drop of pure skill I can get, before I kind of hit a little plateau, and then, at that point, then it's a mental game. But you know, I mean, I try to say I love Mookie Betts because he's a small, he's not tiny. Mookie Betts is not 5'7", but just people in baseball now are bigger, but he can still hit the ball 110 plus miles an hour, 450 feet. So baseball's a sport where I still think that smaller guys can still dominate, because as helpful it is to be big and strong and hit the ball that far, there's so much more that goes into being a good hitter and a good defender than just pure size and athleticism. So, the Red Sox are gonna help me get every last bit of juice I have in my frame, and work from there. But I don't think it's necessarily helped me out in any way, and I don't think it's devalued me in any way. I'm just going.
But you also you mentioned kind of getting kind of all the juice out of your frame and kind of and you did mention earlier kind of some of the power you have, pull power you have. You hit 14 home runs this past year with Kansas State. Has there been anything with coming into the Red Sox system that, on the offensive side, there's been a lot of talk about bat speed training with the Red Sox? I think kind of one of the big reasons that's really became, I guess, a big term among Red Sox fans is the absurd amount of success someone like Christian Campbell has had and him flying through the minor leagues. When you got to Fort Myers after you're drafted and you get to Fort Myers, was there any sort of specific thing when it comes to something like bat speed or anything else that the Red Sox were kind of a training program that's just put you on, or have they kind of earmarked that as maybe something that they want you to focus on in the off season?
Yeah, the Red Sox have it's called the Core Four, and I don't know if you've had anybody talk about that. I'm guessing you might have if you've had other hitters on here, but that's kind of how they evaluate hitters, and their goal is to lead Core Four. So it's bat speed, uh, exit velocity, like your average, how hard you're hitting the ball. It's your swing decisions, what you're doing with your swing decisions, and then it's bat to ball skills, your bat to ball skills. So our hitting days are scheduled around the Core Four. So we'll do days we're working on strictly bat to ball, we're doing straight contact. We're going to work on line drives, hitting the ball at a little bit steeper angle, and just we're going to work on contact that day, making sure we're able to just flush the ball every single time we hit. Then we'll have days where we're doing straight bat speed. And those days, it doesn't matter where you hit the ball, if you swing and miss, if you're popping up, hitting the ball on the ground, you're going to swing the bat as fast as you possibly can and try to figure out how to move your body to get that bat through the zone. And then you're going to see huge strides. And I've seen strides in my bat speed, and I've done the program maybe 4 times now, and I still have I have a whole off season now where I get to do that. So I'm excited. Then we have our pitch decision days. We bring out if you guys have ever been to Fort Myers, the complex, I don't know if you've seen the traject machine or you've heard people talk about the traject where they can put the person on there. We do days like that, and that's where we can do our pitch decisions. So we got fastball, sliders, changeups, cutters, sinkers, anything you could imagine from any pitcher, from any slot. We're going to work on, setting up a plan and attacking only the pitches you're supposed to attack. So that's kind of what the Red Sox have given me as information for hitting, and I think obviously they have amazing prospects and amazing hitters, so it must be working. So I'm excited to get a this next full year of it.
So I wanted to ask you a question in terms of some family athletes, because one of the things in your profile says that your dad played college basketball at VCU, and then there's also mentioned that you had a great uncle that played for the San Francisco Giants. I tried to dig a little bit, but I couldn't see the name. I'm a big baseball history guy. You can see this is a uncut sheet of baseball cards from 1992 back here. Who was your great uncle, and what was the sort of time period in which he played with the Giants?
Okay. So he's my great great uncle. Sometimes I I forget sometimes my great great uncle, because to me he seems young. He's a super lively dude. He's not young by any means.
He's still with us.
He's still with us, yes. But he super lighthearted. You can tell he was a baseball player. Back in his day. Just how he talks about stuff and how he goes about his everyday life. He still has energy left in him. But his name was Richard Estelle, and he played with the Giants for 2 seasons. He didn't play a whole bunch, but he played when it was Willie Mays' last 3 seasons for the San
Okay.
Francisco Giants. So whatever year that was, the last 2 years is when he was with the Giants.
So that would be early 70s. So that
Yeah.
would be like, and what position did he play?
He was a pitcher, left-handed pitcher.
Okay. Yeah, like he would yeah, that because he played, so that's amazing that he got to, obviously that's incredible that he was teammates with Willie Mays.
Yeah.
Willie Mays like started in the 50s. He played with the Giants almost his whole career, and then he got traded to the Mets and was sort of famously was like kind of literally on his last legs in the World Series in 1970s. But and then that would mean also he was teammates with like Willie McCovey and I think maybe Orlando Cepeda was probably gone at that point. So he obviously, does he tell stories about like being around Willie Mays and stuff like that?
Yeah, every once in a while. He's not a big talker. I like him because we can have short conversations and kind of get to the point. Hey, how are you doing? This is what I'm doing. What have you been up to? All right,
Yeah.
love you too. All right, bye. Stuff like that. So if I asked him and really wanted to get into it, he would talk about it. Obviously recently, just because I started my own professional journey, he's asked me some questions of how I've, grown to like it so far, just because he's went through it, and me and him are the only 2 people in our family lineage combined from my mom's side and my dad's side, to ever play professional baseball. So I guess for me now, being the next person that he can talk to is kind of nice. So we've got to talk a little bit about you know just being around and what minor league ball is like and the schedule and stuff. And he actually knows some people in Salem, some of the older guys that have like been in with the Red Sox and working around there. So he knows the town and he's played at that ballpark. So it's kind of cool, to as I'm making my stops up the ladder, that my great great uncles played at some of these ballparks
That's amazing.
that I'm at. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm curious. It's not obviously we're not going crazy here, but who is a pitcher, minor league or major league, doesn't matter, that you are most excited to face?
Man. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Is there someone like that? Even it could just be someone you played with in college who you're just like, man, they're on, the AA team for the Orioles, and I want to hit a home run off of him.
And honestly, I have no idea. There's just, I guess where I was at, there's not that many people that play pro ball like from my area, let alone college baseball. So
Yeah.
all I can say is the coolest person I've got to play against and hit off of was Chase Petty back in high school. So when he was at mainland, I got to play against him, and I'm still kind of close to him and talk to him every once in a while. And Caden Dana too. I talk to him, and he's a New Jersey guy.
And then people that have gone to games at Salem will know this, but if you're watching on MiLB TV or whatever, you don't get to hear it usually. Just curious what your walk-up song is.
Oh, it's Good Day by Nappy Roots. My mom has been like on my tail about using that song for like the past 2 years, and I've just I haven't done it. And so when I got to pro ball, I tried to make it a point that I'll use it for the rest of my career. So as long as they're around, I'll I'll have her song playing for when I walk up. So I'm not saying I love it and it's my absolute best favorite song ever, but as I guess a request, all my parents have done so much for me. My mom's done so much for me, being supportive. I'm gonna use her song when I walk up.
Is there a point where that could change, like where the doing it as a tribute to your mom gets outweighed by, man, I'm in like a slump for 2 weeks and I need to change something, and maybe the song changes things? Or are you not superstitious in that sense?
Yeah, I'm not that superstitious with like the music and stuff. If anything, I just change my bat. Like I just use a different bat. I take if I'm having a little 0 for 2, 0 for 3, 0 for 4, I'll just change my batting gloves, put on a new pair of batting gloves, go hit. Or I'll change my leg guard, change my hand guard, something like that. But not the music. So I'll try to keep that song, as long as I'm playing. I do really like some of the from the movie The Gladiator, like theme music. I think that's pretty sick, but I'd have to be an established player, before I do something like that. So maybe down the road, that's something I could change. But as of right now, that's my song.
We are closing in an hour, so we don't want to take up too much of your time. I only have one question left. I ask a question when we have pitchers on the show in the Red Sox org, where I ask them if there's any pitch from any other teammates that they would like to steal. I'll kind of change it because you are a position player. Is there any specific tool from one of your teammates? It could be current teammates. It could be college teammates because you haven't been in the system super long. Or just anyone in the system even, because I know you haven't been in the system super long. Is there a tool from someone that you say and you go, that would be a really cool kind of tool to have in my tool bag?
Mm. Man. Honestly, I played with a kid named Joshua Krodegrauer. He's with the Oakland Athletics. He was a shortstop at Rutgers when I was there, and I never seen him throw his bat, hit his helmet, throw his batting gloves, punch his glove, kick the ground ever in the fall and the season when I was there. And he's probably one of the most level-headed baseball players I've ever seen. Consistently, sometimes you can go through stints where you're feeling good, and halfway through the season, you start, you get angry, and you want to just hit stuff, and you're yelling and cursing and stuff like that. I think his composure, I'm gonna say that's a skill and tool as a baseball player because you do need it. I think that's something that I'd like to take. Now I'm working on mine, just because the game is so hard. And what's the guy that threw the bat at the pitcher the other day? You guys know who I'm talking about?
Victor Robles.
Victor Robles. I'm not trying to be like Victor Robles, in a couple of years. So
It was a semi-valid crash out, to be fair.
yeah,
He got hit like 5
Semi-
times.
yeah. But
You don't want to
yeah.
lose the pay though from getting suspended. That's
Exactly.
the other thing.
yeah, just level-headedness and emotional consistency. I'm gonna say that skill. So
Yeah, I think we're at the top of the hour here, Derek. So I think I'm good, Hunter, unless you have something else you want to ask Maximus.
All right, perfect. Maximus, we do thank you very much for joining. Is there anything that you personally have that you want to shout out, or anything that you would like to kind of add as we're wrapping up on this first hour?
I guess to whenever you guys put this out, or whoever watches it or listens to it, I leave my social media wide open for the most part. I try to respond to every single person that messaged me. Anybody that's listening or watching, if you ever want to reach out and say hi, I promise I'll try my best to respond and get back to you. If you have any questions or want me to pray for any of you about anything, I'm always open. I want that to be a consistent thing for me as a player. Baseball's given me a whole bunch, so I want to be able to give back somehow. So I want to be an open player with lines of communication. So reach out whenever.
And that's great. So once again, we're thankful to have you on the show. We're gonna pause for a minute here. We're gonna head into our normal scheduled minor league program. But Maximus, once again, thanks for joining, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you all for having me.
All right, we are back. I once again do want to thank Maximus Martin for joining us. But it is me, Hunter, and Jake for kind of our regularly scheduled but shortened version of our kind of minor league talk. We're going to kind of run it just down the line. First things first, though, Yastinson Garcia made his big league debut. And I thought about this the other day, and I kind of want to bring this up. Kind of wild that he made his big league debut kind of, considering where he was at the beginning of last year. Just I think like the rise of him has almost been overshadowed because of guys like Roman Anthony, guys like Christian Campbell, and even guys in the system like a Marcelo Meyer, who's just been consistently an elite prospect for the Red Sox. Stinson has had in kind of an absurd rise, and him making his big league debut, I think, is going to be. I think that's one of the big success stories for the Red Sox player development over the last couple of years. I do want to hand it over to you, Jake, as tradition is going to continue here. What are your thoughts on Yastinson Garcia getting the call up to the big leagues?
I think that the timing was good from the standpoint of it. It felt like it was probably going to take like a Ref Snyder injury for him to come up, and that wasn't the initial move. But then it kind of was an Abreu injury that really or just the decision to put him on the IL that led to Garcia getting the move up. I think that he's getting an opportunity. Obviously, he doesn't have a hit quite yet in the big leagues. I'm sure that will come eventually. He's been attacked by a squirrel more times than he's had a hit so far in the big leagues. But it's funny. He'll always be he'll always kind of be remembered for that, I guess. I think what we've seen so far, obviously, is like versatile defender. Like they've played him in multiple positions in the outfield already, and a guy that they're going to trust so far against right-handed pitching. I think that there are things to be a little bit concerned about in terms of just his swing and miss, and how he's going to handle big league pitching. But I think that he probably doesn't really have a lot left to prove in AAA, and that's just crazy. To your point, Derek, just the fact that he was in Salem at the beginning of last year. He wasn't even like a starter. He was behind other guys on the depth chart at the beginning of last season. And his brother, and I'll talk more about his brother in a minute, but like his brother was the more heralded prospect. And so I think that I think the time was right for him to come up. He's been on, obviously. It also helps that he's been on the 40-man all year. And so you're not having to like DFA a guy to call him up anyway. And I think what happens this offseason will be fascinating if they decide that it's worth bringing Refsnyder back. It would probably mean that it's an up and down kind of season for Yostinson. And then but possibly he's part of a trade in the offseason as well. But I think that I think they made the right decision by having him be the guy that they brought up instead of just calling up like Nick Sogard or somebody like that. And the other thing I just wanted to mention was that it was notable that the Red Sox allowed Yohan Fran excuse me. They gave Yohan Fran Garcia an excused absence from Greenville to go and go with his family to watch his brother make his big league debut in New York. So I think that speaks volumes about the Red Sox organization and what they value. And obviously, like Yohan Fran is coming back from an injury and he's had an up and down year. Of course, he does get the promotion up to Greenville. We've seen, the fits and starts for him. And so obviously he's missing some development time, but I think, the Red Sox decided that it was such an important, part. I know that one other thing that's been brought up is that Yostinson, he's the first big leaguer from his like region of Venezuela, like his area. So I think that was a huge, it was a huge deal in his home country. It was a huge deal in his region. It was a huge deal for his family to have him there. And the Red Sox recognized that and allowed Yohan Fran to go and make the trip. And I think that's a really great thing.
Yeah, and I know they reached out, I know he obviously reached out to his parents and talked to them when he got promoted. And I know the thing was that they would not be able to make it, mainly because the Red Sox seem to love to tell players that they're going to the big leagues 3 hours before a game, and then they have the mad dash to Fenway, or I guess in this case to Yankee Stadium. But they did it with Roman, they did it with Marcelo, they're now doing it with Yostinson, where they seem to just tell them, hey, by the way, go leave. We need you in at a game tonight. So obviously his parents could not get to Yankee Stadium from Venezuela, but they could get his brother there. It is very cool that they decided, hey, missing 3 days of development is not as important as getting to see your older brother make his major league debut. And I think the thing that surprises me the most, like I agree with you, there's really nothing else for him to prove in AAA, which I also agree is an absurd thing to say, just how quickly that has come. But I mean, he's been terrorizing pitchers there. It doesn't seem like there was talks of like maybe he would get demoted today if Wilyer Abreu came back. Now obviously that doesn't seem to be the case, but I was expecting if he was going to get called up that this would be like I should say I was expecting when he got called up / if he got called up with the Red Sox and didn't get traded, it would be more of a, you're going to be here for a while. So when it was, hey, he's going to play 2 games at Yankee Stadium and then he might be going back down, that was crazy to me. But I also know that he was the best option to help the team, and the Red Sox really shouldn't be worrying about anything else. You're in a playoff push at the moment. But yeah, the swing and miss has been a little bit of an issue. In his defense, he had to make his major league debut against Max Fried. That's not the easiest thing to do in the world. I feel like it's something you see with a lot of the younger guys. It's something you see, I guess, just with players in general sometimes that can get a little frustrating is sometimes it seems like they're a little too patient. And I think he was kind of, I don't know if it's nerves, I don't know what it is, but I feel like he was, I think it was even in his first at bat, like he stared, the first pitch was right down the plate. He stared at it, whatever. Maybe it's not what he was looking for. Second pitch was very on the plate. It wasn't right down the middle, but it was very on the plate. It was a hittable pitch. He stared at it. And then the third pitch was not even close to the strike zone, and he swung at it. And it kind of felt like he, it was one of those things where it's like, I'm in the big leagues. I'm going to take a pitch. And then the nerves are getting to you. Maybe you take another, and then all of a sudden you see you're down 0-2, and then you're swinging at a bad one. So that's one of those things where, like, yeah, the swing and miss is an issue, but I also feel like you have to take into account the nerves and the situation and everything, where it's, hey, maybe when he's in the majors for a couple months, even like maybe it won't even take that long. Maybe it'll take a couple months. Maybe it'll take a year or two. But at some point, maybe he won't have those types of at bats, at least not often, where he's staring at stuff and then he swings at the one bad pitch of the at bat. That very much just feels to me like it was a welcome to the MLB type moment where there's just so much going on in your head. He was in Worcester a day before that. He has to take a flight to New York. His brother's there. His parents aren't there. He's at Yankee Stadium in the biggest rivalry in baseball, in a massive playoff push, going up against one of the best pitchers in baseball. So yeah, the swing and miss is something that has been talked about with him since last year, really, when he started showing up on people's maps. But it wasn't as terrible, I think, as it could have been. I feel like he was drawing counts. He drew a couple walks. There's definitely been positives. And I'm hoping he gets a couple more games before he gets sent back down. I'd love to see him get that first hit out of the way while he's here. You don't want one of those, knock on wood, you don't want one of those Mickey Gasper situations where you're 0 for 25 and then you get sent back to the minors, and it's like, is he ever going to get a hit? He obviously ended up getting a hit this year with the Twins, but you don't want that sitting with you all off season of, man, I'm 0 for 7 in my major league career. You want to get that out of the way sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it is interesting. I just real quick going to pivot for a half second. You brought up Mickey Gasper. Brian Van Bell made his big league debut, so that's nice to see with the Rays. Shout out Brian Van Bell. Back to Yastinson Garcia, though. It's funny because I was on the weekend show last weekend, and I was filling in for Jordan, and Yastinson did come up in the conversations. And it's funny because Jack, I think yesterday, put in the group chat that I convinced him that Yastinson could be kind of Refsnyder's replacement should he retire. But I also feel like Yastinson's almost could be like a legitimate. When I say a legitimate fourth outfielder, I mean fourth outfielder when the Red Sox already have Jarren Duran, Roman Anthony, and Wilyer Abreu, and Cedar Rafaela, and odds are one of them are getting traded. But the other three all have the potential to be all-stars even next year, right? Which are the three that they're going to keep most, right? So when I say Yastinson being a fourth outfielder, this is not like me saying he's going to be a bench player long-term, but in terms of the Red Sox next year, if something happens with Refsnyder tends to retire or whatever happens, right? Yastinson feels like a guy who maybe he'd be the fourth outfielder on the depth chart, but he can give Rafaela days off and fill in center field. He can play left field. He can play right field, right? He can play all over the place. If they want to have Wilyer platoon with the guy, Yastinson could be that guy and face lefties, right? He feels like a more complete, I guess, fourth outfielder, whereas this isn't a shot at Refsnyder, but Refsnyder is what he is, right? He's a really good platoon bat, but that's what he is, right? Not the greatest defender. You're not going to put Rob Refsnyder in center field, right? Yastinson Garcia, you could put him in center field, right? And he's good in center field as well. There's also that as well. So he's someone where the future's bright for him, whether it's with the Red Sox, whether it's somewhere else. I do hope it's with the Red Sox, but obviously, considering that just the logjam of outfielders that the Red Sox have, you never know what could happen in the offseason. But I do agree with you, Hunter, on the kind of idea that it would be nice for him to kind of play a couple more games and hopefully get that first hit. But it is something that's that it's really nice to see him kind of get that debut. And, he's going to be someone who I think kind of, if all goes right, he could be one of like just the most fun players to watch when it comes to his size, his size, but he's not like slow. He's big, but he's not slow. He's elite defensively, can hit the ball stupidly hard, right? Just kind of does everything. And I think that's something that like if he can put all the pieces together at the big league level, it's going to be really, really fun to watch for a long time. I do want to move on a little bit from Stinson, though. And I think we probably should move on to the pitching side of things. Peyton Tolley did have another great start. I will just mention, I know he didn't have the greatest performance on the second day. David Sandlin did pitch out of the bullpen 2 days in a row. If we're talking big league team, if he's pitching 2 days in a row out of the bullpen, they're very much, obviously we know they're ramping him up for a potential bullpen role, but this is definitely ramping him up if he's pitching back-to-back days. But back to Peyton Tolley, just continues to be dominant. Five innings, just the one hit, only one run, no walks, 9 strikeouts, no free passes in terms of no walks, no hit batters, nothing. Just continues to kind of dominate. There's no other way to put it. It's almost kind of absurd what he's doing. He's just kind of just the entire season from outside of his first start. It feels like every single start he goes out there only giving up no runs or 1 run. Obviously the first inning in Worcester, right, had a struggle. Was very much make the argument he should have been out of the inning. But kind of since then I think he's been just stellar. And yeah, AAA, it's not the big leagues, but it's the closest thing you're going to get. And the fact that he still looks arguably just as dominant as he has all year, kind of absurd. Like I said, absurd. There's no really other word I have for it. It's just absurd. I want to ask you, Jake, are we getting to a point with Tolley where it's, when, not if, he's going to debut with the big league team this year?
I think it is a question of when. I think the Red Sox have to ask themselves, is Peyton Tolley one of the 5 best starting pitchers that you have that's healthy in the organization? And I don't really think that it's crazy to say that the answer to that is yes. I mean, they already decided to move Walker Buehler out of the rotation. Tonight, we're recording this Monday, like they've gone with a opener, and Fitz has, not been amazing, but so there seems to be this opening that possibly there's like question of who's going to start the last game of the series with the Orioles. It would line up that it could be Peyton Tolley that pitches. To me, I think there's been questions of, would they put him in the bullpen? Would they do that? Well, you've seen what they did with David Sandlin. Like when he got promoted to Worcester, they put Sandlin in the bullpen, and they've been working him exclusively in a reliever role. And again, you mentioned it, Derek, that he pitched on back-to-back days this past week. So I think that was the clear intention, was they wanted to see what they had with Sandlin as a reliever. Now, unfortunately, on balance, Sandlin has not been good overall since they moved him to the bullpen. That doesn't mean that we're not going to see him in the big leagues this year. I still think that he'll get added to the 40-man in the offseason regardless. But I think that so to me, there's been no indication whatsoever for me that the intention with Peyton Tolley is to have him pitch out of the bullpen. I feel like if that was a realistic possibility, they would already be doing it with Tolley. The only outstanding question is, what is his innings limit this year? How much are they going to let him continue to pitch? He's right around, was it like 90 innings so far this year? That doesn't sound like a lot, but we have to remember again, this is his first professional season, number one. And number two, he also wasn't really 100% a starting pitcher until last year, So he was a two-way guy. He wanted to be a hitter too. So I think that is a legitimate question. How far do you go with him? Like, if he's gonna come up and start, how permanent is that? Would they wait? Would they like shut him down in Worcester at some point and wait until later in the year and bring him up for like a playoff push and potentially to go into the playoffs with him? I don't know. So those are the outstanding questions. I would just say that again, to recap again, I don't see the bullpen being an option. I could be totally wrong about that, but it's just not. If they were just like this week, they were like, okay, Peyton Toley's coming up and he's pitching out of the bullpen. That would just not be consistent with how they've handled this kind of move. And it's not saying they won't do it. I just don't think that it's going to happen. And then it's just how much would they push him through the rest of the year? But I think that the way that he's looked and just making guys look stupid at literally every level he's pitched at this year, it is a matter of when, and I do think that it will be before the end of this season. So
yeah, we'll just add the 91 2/3 innings this year. The most he's ever pitched in a season before is 85 2/3 in 2023. Last year, 81 1/3. So he's already passed his career high. The other thing will add on is like there's been a lot of talk about Kyle Harrison, and even though Harrison's been a lot better as of late, you can still make the argument that Toley's looked even better than him, which is crazy.
Right? I don't even think that's an argument.
Well, I don't think it's an argument, but like there's going to be someone he gave up however many runs in the first inning, and not that because I'm saying I would not argue with those people because they're not worth the time of arguing with. But I think there's a very, very kind of very solid case to say that Peyton Toley's been better than Kyle Harrison and has looked more dominant.
So Peyton Toley in this game, he just gave up the one hit, the one run. The one hit came to the first batter of the game. It was a double that had a 61.2 mile per hour exit velocity. And then he recorded the next 15 outs in a row, including 9 strikeouts. Like that was such a ridiculously dominant start. And it really sucks that it started off with the crappiest of crap doubles you'll ever see, because that should have been 5 perfect innings, which would have just been absurd. I completely agree with what Jake said, that it feels like if he comes up, it's going to be as a starter. It would be very strange for them to be, like he said, they call up David Sandlin to AAA, and then almost immediately, I think he made 1 or 2 starts, and then they were just like, all right, we're going to work you out of the bullpen now. It would be very weird for them to not do that with Peyton Toley and then throw him in the bullpen anyway. I think it was Coley who said, this is a new career high in innings for him, but like this isn't some tiny guy that you're worried about. Like this is a grown ass man. Like he's listed at 6'6", 250. I feel like if anyone is fine jumping up in workload, it's someone that's built like this. Like this is just a big dude. I don't think you should be too worried about it. Obviously, you don't want to do anything too stupid and hurt the career of someone who could potentially be a star pitcher for you for 10, 15 years. But you're also in a playoff push, and you should be throwing the best guys into the rotation, into the bullpen, whatever it is that you have. And like Jake asked at the beginning, when he said like the Red Sox should be asking, is he one of their 5 best starting pitchers? I don't even think it's really much of a question that he I don't want to say it's much of a question that he is, because obviously he has no major league experience, so you can't just throw that on him. But outside of Garrett Crochet, Brian Bayo, and Lucas Giolito, there's no one that I would be upset about losing a start to Peyton Toley. Like it wouldn't bother me to see, Dustin May's getting pushed back a day because Peyton Toley's starting, or there's really no one else to even name because Walker Buehler's already been moved to the bullpen.
Or even push Crochet back, push everyone back a day because innings are piling up for the big league guys too.
Yeah, which I know that's something they've talked about is trying to find a way to manage Crochet's innings while also not manage them, because you need those innings. But yeah, like you've already moved Walker Buehler. You're using an opener tonight because you didn't trust Richard Fitz to start the game, and now he's struggling. They need another starting pitcher, and they have Peyton Tolley sitting there. I 100% agree. It's not really a question of when, or it's not a question of if. It's a question of when, because he's been so ridiculously dominant. And obviously, like you said, they can point to that first inning that he had in Worcester. But even that, again, we talked about it after it happened. The 2 home runs were hit really hard, but there was an error. There was a 70-mile-an-hour single. There was a single that should have been an error because Trace Thompson just dropped a fly ball, and for some reason they called it a single. That was not the worst inning in the world. He should have gotten out with 0 runs. He didn't, and bad things happened. But then since then, he's given up 1 run, and it came off a 60-mile-an-hour double, and then a ground out, and then a wild pitch. So he's dominant. He's not walking people. He's striking people out. The fastball's been ridiculous. More importantly, all the secondary stuff has ticked up very well. Like that has been the big thing was, he needs secondary pitches. And then like the big talking point is all the secondary pitches look good. That TJ Stats on Twitter posted like the all the stuff plus for each pitch, and they were all absurd. Obviously the fastball was like 118, which is stupid, but they were all good. Like he's throwing everything well right now, and you can see it watching the games. He's getting people to swing and miss on sliders. He's freezing people with changeups. Everything's working. You're trying to win games. You're a half a game up on the Yankees. You're in the top wild card spot, but there's a couple teams chasing you. You still have a chance at winning the division. Put the best players on the field. Peyton Tolley's one of the best players. The only argument you can even kind of make against it, I guess, would be that he's not on the 40-man, and you would have to figure that out. But I really don't think that would be that hard to figure out. I'm sure there's 20 different moves they could make.
Liam Hendricks isn't even on the 60-day.
There you go.
Right now. There's your move, right? Like Marcelo Myers not on the 60-day. He's not playing the rest of this year.
Yeah, it's
right?
confirmed he's not playing the rest of the year.
Actually
There's zero reason to not do that.
Yeah, right. Like, and the one thing too, like, I do want to mention with Tolley, it's kind of funny. We've kind of had the running theme after the draft this year and after the draft last year, Red Sox and their big pitchers. If Tolley were to join the current 4 people in the rotation, everyone but Brian Bayo would be listed at 6'6", which is wacky.
That's some meat.
Dustin May is listed at 6'6", 180. That's wild. We're getting that's closing in on Nathaniel Newton territory. But also the other thing I think I mentioned it when I was on the weekend show. I think I said, like, I think Peyton Tolley is going to make his, like, my thought process at that point is like Tolley's going to debut this year, but I think it's going to be in the postseason, right? And when the postseason comes around, you don't need a 4th starter, but it would probably be nice to have someone who can start that 4th game of the series, especially when you get to a 7-game series. And Buehler's already been moved to the bullpen. Dustin May very well could be moved to the bullpen, right? It's a guy who we know could go out of the bullpen maybe 2 innings and look fantastic, right? Then you start looking, okay, if those guys move to the bullpen and you need a 4th starter, Peyton Tolley's literally just sitting there, and every single outing he has where he's just mowing guys down in AAA is another reason. There's another reason towards him not even being one of the 5 best starters in the Red Sox organization, being one of the 4 best starters in the Red Sox organization, which is, that's a guy who started this year in Greenville, potentially being in the Red Sox playoff rotation. Just it's been absurd.
And because I see this question asked a lot on Twitter, I'll just say it here also. Worrying about, can he play in the postseason if he's not on the roster before September 1st? All the Red Sox need to do is have him replace someone who was on the roster
served their
at some
injured
point.
list
who was hurt.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox
Liam
have
Hendricks.
10 different people that they can do that with.
It would be very easy to do. It's not.
Hi, Liam Hendricks.
He's in the
Thanks
organization.
for your service.
You would have
Thanks for your service.
a guy like Nate Lowe. Like, they needed to add him before September 1st. Like, I think that was somebody from outside the organization, but like inside the organization, because like we'll see this like over the course of the next few days where there'll be guys on non-playoff teams that get waived, and there might be a bit of a frenzy. But yeah, like again, it all comes back down to a question that we don't know the answer to right now, which is how many innings are they going to allow Peyton Tolley to throw this year? So I am hoping, and I don't know if that question has been asked. I don't know if there's a definitive answer out there, but I think that's the whole discussion of whether he would pitch be a postseason arm or not comes down to that question of how many, because you mentioned that he's already at his career innings limit, innings high, and I know that they have this all mapped out. They know what the number is, but they have not. I don't believe that it publicly.
Someone asked Breslow.
And also, obviously,
Yeah,
innings is an easy benchmark, but also like he's on a strict pitch limit right now.
Right.
It's not his fault that he's getting through 5-6 innings because he's doing it very efficiently right now.
Mm-hmm.
So like I know obviously innings is the benchmark, but sometimes you have to look at it as number of pitches too. Like he got through 5 innings on like 60 pitches. Obviously, yeah, he still had to ramp up the arm and he still had to do everything, but it's not like he's going out there and throwing 95 pitches every start. I feel like that has to help at least a little bit. I think it's good that they ramped him down basically right when he got to Portland. Like I almost wonder if when he got to Portland, they started thinking this could be a possibility, because that he immediately went to like I think it was a 65 pitch limit in Portland where it was like 85 in Greenville. So I wonder if even then they were thinking we might have something here.
Yeah, I'll also choose this. If you want to kind of go batters by batters faced, he's faced 364 batters this year. In 2023, when he threw exactly 6 less innings, he faced 361, which is only 3 less batters. And so he's only faced 3 more batters than his career high in 6 more innings, right? So, like, it's not like, yeah, the innings are something. You mentioned the pitch count, Hunter, but, like, a lot of these outings, he might go 5 innings, but it's 70 pitches, like, and it's just touching 70 pitches, right? And it's efficient. And I asked John Holovitz last week kind of like, is there a difference when it comes to like pitching with guys on base and kind of the stress level of it or whatever? And I do think it's different for every pitcher, right? But it can't hurt when you're, Peyton Tolley, and it feels like every inning is just 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, dominance, right? Probably makes his life a little bit easier than a guy who's throwing 25, 30 pitches in an inning and has got 2 guys on and is just struggling to, get out of that inning, right? It's different. It's different than that. It's, and I think that efficiency as well is kind of, I think that's kind of where it's going to get interesting as we get down the stretch of the minor league season and the big league season. If Tolley does reach the big leagues, what does the potential pitch count look like? Where do they limit him? If Red Sox get into the postseason, you're in the postseason, you're playing for a World Series, do they still kind of keep the reins on him, or do they just say, you know what, you're a big leaguer now, we're gonna let you go, right?
Absolutely. I don't think we're even gonna get to that point. Like, to be honest, like it's like if you, we don't know what the number is, but I can't imagine that it's much more than 125 innings. Like that's got to be like that may even be more than we expect, and if that's the case, then that kind of like covers the rest of the season in Worcester, but probably wouldn't really cover much beyond that. So I don't know. We're going to find out soon. I think that there's a high probability that he makes his big league debut against the Orioles on Thursday night this week. And if that is the case, then we will know the answer to that. I'm sure that question will be asked. If it's not, then the press people are not doing their job in the traveling press corps. And I think that starting him if they do have him make a start this week in Baltimore, I think that's a great spot for him because
don't start him on Friday.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like, because he's allegedly right now it's lining up that it would be Skeens pitching at Fenway.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So, the good thing would be that would push Crochet to Friday, which would be amazing. I'm going to be driving, unfortunately, when that's happening. But starting him on Thursday against a non-playoff team in an away stadium, like kind of away from some of the pressure, like I think that would be a good place for him to get to get going if that is what they want to do. But
also a stadium that has dumb dimensions as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not as dumb as they were, but they're still very dumb.
Well, have you
I-
seen?
I-
have you ever watched a game at Fenway Park?
Yeah, but the dimensions are how old, right? Like they're not that stupid. If they were that stupid, someone would have changed them. Just like Baltimore's changed theirs how many
I love
times in
Fenway,
the
but they
last-
do have a random triangle in the middle.
It is funny.
Middle
Like
center
sometimes,
field.
do you ever see any of those like pictures? It's like the outline of what the dimensions are of like all of the
Yes.
stadiums like lined up, and then you see Fenway, and it's like, whoa. Like a lot of them are like they gotten rid of a lot of like they used to call them like the cookie cutter. Like it's kind of what they still have in like Toronto, right? Where like
Yes.
there was a time when
boring, lame.
almost
same
every
thing.
park was just like a straight like oval like going in
Like a
in
straight,
and
like,
out building.
semi-arc
all of the
almost.
like Three River Stadium and Riverfront Stadium and like the park, like whatever. So when Camden Yards, where the game is happening tonight, was built, the ballparks got that character back of the dimensions, but still Fenway's is the
Yeah, and then they ruined it by pushing the left field wall back and making a 90-degree right angle in left center. This is gonna get off track, but I need to say this for a second. Part of me was hoping someone was gonna run into that sidewall where the bullpen was, where they pushed the wall back, just so everyone could go, "Ha ha, Baltimore, that was stupid." Not because
Rooting
not
for
ha because
injuries,
a player.
wow.
No. Not that someone would get hurt, right? You can run into a wall and not get hurt, but just the fact that it's like this is terrible. This is terribly designed. And I got crapped on by Orioles fans on Twitter for saying that it looked stupid, and like 2 years ago. And what do you know? They changed it because it was stupid. Back to Peyton Tolley though. I hope we see him soon. I do hope we see him soon. We do need to move on though, because I think we've spent half an hour talking about Yeston Garcia and Peyton Tolley. Just in case people aren't paying attention to Worcester or haven't really watched, Justin Slayton, 3 games, 3 innings. 1 unearned run, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, looking really good. Obviously, he'll be joining the big league team in short time. And then the other thing, I had something else. Kyle Harrison, not like the greatest of starts, but 5 innings. They got 7 hits, only 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, but only giving up 3 runs in 5. It's not. I get if we want to kind of rehash what I think a quality start is. I still think it's a fine start, even if it's not a quality start, right? 5 innings, 3 runs, it's nothing crazy, but I feel like it gets the job done more times than not. That's just how I see it. So like if 5 innings, 3 runs is your not good start, I like instead of 4 innings and 5 runs, like we've seen at times, or 3 innings and 7 runs, 5 innings, 3 runs is a bad start. I think you take it, right? I guess that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm not going to rehash the whole what's a quality start thing again because we don't have time for that. And Jake's probably happy I'm not rehashing that.
Oh, you're pushing it.
We have anything else on the pitching side before we kind of
go ahead?
move on to
Tyler Uberstein, 5 2/3 innings, 2 runs, 4 hits. Struck out 4 batters, walked 3, which is pretty unusual for him. 33 walks in 99 2/3 innings, 111 strikeouts. He's been really good. This was like a not the sexiest of starts, but he still manages to be very efficient and give Worcester a lot of good innings. Another guy who I feel like is a pretty legitimate option to get called up this year. He needs to be put on the 40-man to be Rule 5 protected. The thing going against him just is that he's not Peyton Tolley. The Red Sox have Peyton Tolley, so he's should be the option if they need someone called up.
Yeah. Moving on to the hitting side of things, we had 2 friends of the show hit homers, and Mike Romero and Philip Sykes. Shout out both of them. Mike Romero had 6 hits this week with a pair of doubles, and then Sykes had 5 hits this week. His only extra base hit was the homer, but good weeks from the both of them. I do want to kind of touch on Christian Gamble though. I know Hunter's been when we were paused for like 10 minutes. Hunter was on his Twitter escapade about how people don't, people are like, why? Like people are either sarcastic or stupidly saying things about Christian Campbell when it's just like Hunter, when Hunter will just tweet out he has 2 hits, and people are like, well, what's the exit velo? If you're going to tweet that, please just watch the games instead of tweeting it. But Campbell, 7 hits, 2 doubles, a homer this week. It feels like Campbell's very much kind of now settled into being more of the Christian Campbell that we saw last year. He's not like, and I said this, I think when we said this in the process, he's not blowing like anyone's socks off, but in some ways it's almost a good thing because he's been more consistent, right? It feels like almost every week he's having a solid week at worst, right? And I think that's kind of the big thing for Campbell. You don't want to kind of see him have a hot streak, then a cold week, then a hot week, then a cold week. Kind of getting more consistency out of him, I think, is, especially as the season winds down and as the Red Sox maybe look at him as a big league option again. I think him being consistent is kind of going to be a big thing for the Red Sox down the stretch, especially considering that the Red Sox very much have their left-handed hitting first baseman now, and obviously both Campbell and Romy can play some second base, which could be a help, especially with, I would assume, against lefties they would prefer to maybe have Campbell and Romy at first and second if they can, and Rafaela can play center. I think that would probably be preferred if Campbell is in the big league. So I think him kind of being more consistent, I think, is kind of a big thing. And it's a good thing for him, right? I think it's almost a good thing that he's just not 1 week blowing everyone's socks off and then the next week just struggling. I think the consistency is a good thing for him at this stage. Hunter, do you have anyone else that you want to touch on the hitting side of things?
Nope.
Jake? That's it. All right. We will now move to Portland. First person I want to touch on. We've had a lot of talks about kind of, I guess, getting the pesky report bump. And I think you can make the argument that John Holobet's got it. He went 7 innings. He did give up 6 hits, but just the 1 run. Unfortunately, it was on a solo shot, but outside of the solo shot, really limited the damage. Just the 1 walk, struck out 4. Him going 7 innings. I think you actually mentioned it to him.
I was going to say, I said he should go. He needs to go 7 innings, and he went 7 innings.
Yes, I think that is the most pesky report bump of pesky report bumps right there. Hunter, you literally did predict it. And he's just continued to pitch well, right? He was on the show last week. It's great having him on, and just I will just say, Maximus Martin has a good week. We might need to brand shirts or something.
Get the pesky bump.
Yes. To figure it out or get it trademarked or something, right? Because it's becoming a legitimate thing. It is wacky, and just overall, Holobet's on the year overall between the 3 levels that he's played at has a 3.29 ERA and 106 and 2/3 innings. Just a very, very good year for him, and someone who was, as when we were talking last week, as a player to be named later in a trade, typically not you typically think, it's just a throw on. He's been much more than just a throw-in piece. He's been a legitimate piece of that trade, and I think it only makes the case for the Red Sox coming out of that trade well. It only makes the case bigger and bigger, right? Not to say that there's a certain someone who is playing well, because there is a certain someone who's playing well who may or may not have been part of that trade, who may or may not be doing well for the Brewers, but I think Red Sox would do this trade 100 times would have done that trade 100 times out of 100, especially now knowing what they've gotten from a guy from Holobet, considering the other pieces they also added in that trade. I think they do this trade. I think they do that trade 100 times out of 100. Jake, anything else on the pitching side? I don't want to just go constant touch on everyone. I know there's other people to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, so there's guys that just had good weeks that we don't talk about a lot. Like Dalton Rogers has had kind of definitely has had an up and down season. His ERA on the season now is pretty good. It's a 3.44 in 89 innings. He has 109 strikeouts. He's always had sort of good swing and miss stuff. This week he had 5 1/3, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. Didn't give up a run. I think he's an example of why you stick with a guy as a starter, as long as they show and prove that they can start, and that they should start. And I think that they're going to stick with him in that role. As I don't know that his future is as like a big league starter, but I think that it was just a really good sign to see him be able to do that. That was kind of all I had on the starters. I will just say that, a really good week for Cooper Adams with 2 shutout appearances out of the bullpen, 6 strikeouts, no runs, just 2 hits in 5 innings. And Noah Song. It's always good to have a Noah Song update, right? 3 innings this week, 3 hits, just gave up 1 run, but also had 3 strikeouts and no walks as he continues to pitch and be healthy, which is always a good thing when it comes to Noah Song.
I'll just add in again. Can we get him in Worcester at this point? I said it last week. I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
He's 28. What's the point? If you're not going to protect him anyways, okay, but just come on. If he sucks, he sucks, right? But if he shows you something, who knows, right? Dombrowski's probably just going to take him again in the Rule 5, which should not be allowed, but that's just,
Has anyone mentioned Hayden Mullins yet? Did I miss that? No? Okay. 5 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. Not his best start, but even a not great Hayden Mullins start at this point is very good. 2.06 ERA on the year, 169 batting average against, 107 strikeouts and 87 in the 3rd innings. I feel like we talk about him a lot as the guy who isn't respected enough because of the other guys in the system. And someone who is definitely in danger of getting taken in the Rule 5. I feel like he is not long for the organization. I feel like he will either get traded in the offseason before the Rule 5 draft so that they can get something for him, or he will be taken. But he's done it more than well enough in AA for long enough that I think that there are a lot of teams that will want to take a chance on him.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the 5 innings, 2 runs, I kind of brought up the whole quality start thing, but I know I'm not getting into the quality start thing, but if you get 5 innings, 2 runs out of your starter, you're going to be very happy with that, right? That's the start, even though it's not Mullins' best start. I think in the grand scheme of things, typically if a pitcher gives you 5 innings, just the 2 runs, I think overall you're kind of happy with it, right? And to know that's kind of, not his best start, but, still limiting it just to 2 runs, I think is, I think it's a very good thing. Anything else on the pitching side before we move on to the position players? Oh, all right, perfect. I'm going to start with the fact that Alan Castro had 8 hits in 5 games. I think this is kind of obvious where I was going to go. 2 doubles and a triple, 2 RBIs, 1 walk, only 2 strikeouts, also stole a base, 421 average this past week. Just continuing to put, it's interesting because with him, because last year he moves up to Portland and he struggled. And last year he hit 15 homers, 14 home runs in the 95 games with Greenville. This year he only gets to 7 homers. But the overall numbers are better, at least considering, especially when you look at kind of the Portland last year, that stretch last year in the 28 games to this year. It feels like he's almost, because in 2023, he only had the 7 homers. It feels like he's almost last year, maybe he was pushing for maybe a little bit more power. And this year he's kind of maybe reined it in a little bit and found the balance almost. That's just my hypothesis. I don't know, obviously what his mental state is in terms of his approach, but there's not as much home run power this year, but it feels like kind of the all-around offensive game has, especially considering him being in AA compared to Greenville most of last year, it feels like there's been a considerable kind of just all around to kind of the whole puzzle starting to come together more this season. And it's nice to see, and he's a guy that, I will say I'm scared for the Rule 5 draft, just not because I necessarily think he'll be taken, but it's always scary considering he's had a solid year in Portland and If a team takes him, you're on my shit list. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But he's had a really good year, and it's nice. It's very nice to see, especially just kind of, he had the injury early in the year. It's kind of the bad taste in the end of last year. It's really nice seeing him just playing well and continuing to play well. Especially, I think it's really good for him. And yeah, I don't know. I had something and I lost it. Yeah, I lost it. Oh yeah, in August. Sorry, in August, the 10 games. That's not 10 games. I'm blind. 18 games. He's in 284 in August. So apparently my vision is going as well, because I read an 18 as a 10. So I'm gone. Someone else take it. I'll give it to Jake. Take it on someone else.
Do you guys know old SNL stuff? Like, like the Chris Farley show?
Yeah.
Nope.
Like if Derrik, it's okay. So only Hunter's gonna laugh at this time. If we ever interviewed Alan Castro, the whole thing would just be Derrik being like, "Remember that time you had 8 hits in a week? That was awesome." Like that would be just the whole thing. Go look it up, Derrik. Anyway, so just in terms of like other guys, a nice week for Brooks Brannon, who I just think there's like not a ton to talk about at this point with Portland. I think it's been talked about a bit, which it's just the roster. There's been so many guys that have moved up, that have moved out. But Brannon is probably the biggest power hitter that's still there. And he hit 2 homers this week. He had 8 runs batted in. Also went 5 for 17. The strikeouts and swing and miss is just still a problem. Like he had 7 strikeouts this week and no walks. But I think that if he can continue to improve as a catcher and continue to show his capabilities there, and he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, I think that there's a future for him. Like I really do, because the power is real. And it's just a matter of, can he just like cut the swing and miss down? Can he cut the strikeouts down like a little bit to have his game be a little bit more palatable? But I think as a catcher, you can live with that stuff a little bit more. But we'll see. But it was nice to see him have a good week. As far as guys that I have been a big fan of, like it was nice to see. Juan Chacon only played 3 games, but he did go 4 for 10 with 2 doubles and a run and an RBI this week as well. So I know that, and I think you said this earlier, Hunter, and I guess I may have this right, but like this was Justin Reimer's debut in Portland. Yeah, so he went. He played in just 2 games, but he went 2 for 7. He did have a double and a run batted in as well this week. So good to see him have an opportunity in Double-A to close out the season.
Yeah, I just have super quick notes on all 3 of the guys you just talked about. One, Brooks Brannon, one of the 2 homers was a grand slam that he absolutely destroyed. It went well over the 400-foot sign in center field. Juan Chacon, now 6-game hitting streak. The numbers don't look crazy. 225, 295, 275 slash line in Double-A. But 1, he started over 22 at the level. And 2, injuries, inconsistent playing time, just with there being a lot of outfielders cycling in and out of Portland. And then again, like I said, with injuries, it's been very hard for him to get consistent playing time. He played 3 games in all of July, and to get into a rhythm. So it's good to see him getting into a rhythm and getting those numbers up. Just a really good defensive outfielder. And he's shown a semi-decent amount of promise with the bat in the past. So it's good to see him figuring things out. And then, Justin Reimer, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts on the week. Now has 56 walks compared to just 47 strikeouts. There was a big reason when he got drafted that a lot of people were like, oh, he reminds us of Chase Mydroth. Like he's a very, that's what he is. He puts the bat on the ball. He does not strike out. He draws counts. The numbers aren't crazy this year. I don't have them in front of me, but I think he's hitting like 246 or something like that. He's got like a 400 on base percentage though. So like he hasn't been as successful as Mydroth when it comes to the batting average. But the at bats are so much better than the numbers show you. Like he is he's always the guy making a pitcher throw 7-8 pitches. And we've seen how important that was for the Red Sox in recent days, where I forget who it was, but they had like back-to-back walks. It was like Trevor Story and someone else drew like 10 pitch walks, and then someone had a clutch hit. I
Was
forget
it
who it
Romy?
was. No, that was last night. It was Romy and Trevor Story. Maybe it was, you know who it was? It was the two people before the Roman Anthony home run. I think that's what it was. They
Oh,
like
God, I
both
don't
worked
remember.
like 8 pitch walks, and then, you know, and then the pitcher's worn down, and then Roman Anthony hits a 3-run homer and clinches the game. Like, those are important at bats, even sometimes when it doesn't lead to a walk. It doesn't lead to getting on base. You made a pitcher throw 9-10 pitches, and those are 5 more pitches, 5-6 more pitches than he was hoping. Well, that's 9 to 10 more pitches than he was hoping to throw that at bat. He was hoping to throw 1, but it's a very important thing. He always has professional at bats. So it's good to see him get promoted to Double-A and have a solid first 2 games there. I think he could be very important for that lineup, who has struggled to find consistency all year, and he's someone who will give them good at bats.
I'll just add, just because like it's, I guess, not up my alley, but Caden Rose had 2 triples this week. He had 2 career triples in the minor leagues heading into this week, and just had to hit 2 this week.
Your boy
Rubbing it in.
had one too. I'm surprised you didn't get mad. at him for that.
Well, I can't get mad at Alan Castro. He gets a pass. He gets a pass.
For that time you hit a triple, that was awesome. You're gonna laugh when you find that, Derek. I promise.
The thing is, I'm not going to remember to look it up because I'm recording with Jason after this, so my brain's going to be fried.
I would, Jason can wait. Like, come on.
My brain's already fried. I got like 2 hours of sleep last night. So.
Oh, you're young. Shut up. I don't care.
Oh, I cannot run. I need like 8 to 10 hours of sleep. My roommate makes fun of me all the time.
Man.
I get made fun of for sleeping.
Yeah. Wait. Well, never mind.
I sleep. I'll just say this: I sleep more than my 80-year-old grandfather. It's bad.
That is bad.
And not because I want to sleep that much either. Like, let's move on to Greenville. Let's keep the train on the tracks, or at least try to, at the very least. You know what? Let's just stay on the pitching side of things first. I kind of like starting on the pitching side of this. We don't do it a lot, so let's start with the pitching. This is gonna be very out of left field, and like this could be very niche. But I was looking. Blake Aida had a really good start. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, just 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. I was looking at his last name, and it's AITA, and the first thing, and like I was just staring at it. I don't know why, and it popped up. Anyone's seen the like on TikTok, like the Reddit stories that start off, "Am I the asshole?" and it's AITA. And it's the first thing that just popped into my head. I'm like, "Well, is it?"
I don't know if I don't know if Hunter has asked Blake to come on the show, but it might be a long shot now.
Him and Austin Ehrlicher.
Between Ehrlicher and Am I the asshole? Like, I don't.
Which Ehrlicher left the game after like 2 pitches.
Yeah. Well, he's in Portland now, right? Or no?
No, he's still in Greenville.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm.
Yeah,
I think he's still in Greenville. Either way, he left the game
good,
after like 2 pitches. Just
good.
throwing that out there.
Yeah. Best of luck to Ehrlicher.
I guess I am the asshole for calling him.
Did you have anything constructive to say about Blake?
I said he had a good start.
He did.
I said he had a good start.
Yeah, that was a throwaway line though.
He did have a good start.
Wow.
Though. I read the stat line.
It was a fantastic start. Yes.
Yes, it was a really good start. Also, Jennings and Paez.
Yeah.
Hello. Nice to have you back.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys. I'm not sure if you guys mentioned him last week, but obviously, like he's out for 4 months. And he pitches pretty well. He pitches okay the last time out, but this time out 3 innings, 5 strikeouts, no walks. Jackson Paez feels like a forgotten guy in the system. Just again because he hasn't really pitched this year, and he's back from injury, and he's a good one. And I think that people forgot about how good he is and how I think he's viewed. Like there are some other prospect watchers I know that like think really highly of Jedickson Paez, and he is a guy with great control, and he probably, I wouldn't be shocked if they send him to Portland to end the year. But as Maximus Martin was telling us, Greenville is on a playoff push as of right now, and I think maybe I just want to be clear about where they are in the standings. Like they're a game out of the playoff spot right now, but there's only basically it's this week and next week left in the regular season. So I think that they may keep, that's a big deal, and we've heard about this from other places, and I think that they like the idea that guys are part of a playoff push. They want it to be a valuable part of their development. So I don't know that they're necessarily just going to move guys out of Greenville just to do it. And I think, as they mentioned, the Maximus told us that like they wanted him to go up there so that he could be part of a playoff push. And so I think a guy like Jedickson Paez could probably benefit from being there, even though he so far is showing that maybe he could possibly go up to Portland. But it might be more of a thing that they would do with him next year.
It's crazy to think about. They're on different levels as prospects, like nationally. But like you mentioned how he's kind of a forgotten prospect because he's been out all year. I feel like you could throw that tag on Juan Valera at this point too. Like he's been out for so long, and the Red Sox have had like Peyton Tolley has flown up the system and all the, to the point where I feel like no one's like, oh yeah, they also have Juan Valera. Like Luis Perales is coming back soon, so that's been getting hype. But to your point of Jedickson Paez, and I feel like we've always been very high on him on the show. The control is absurd. So this year in 16 and a third innings, obviously that is not a large sample size, but the injury, 19 strikeouts compared to just 3 walks, ridiculous. He's more importantly in the 2 outings that he's made since coming back, he has no walks in 5 2/3 innings compared to 10 strikeouts. And then last year, so the big issue with him was always like, yeah, he wasn't walking people, but the strikeouts weren't great. Like in 2023, he had 73 strikeouts in 84 innings. Last year in 96 2/3 innings, 113 strikeouts. That's fantastic. 12 walks in 96 2/3 innings. That is bananas.
And as dumb as I am, even I can count to 12. So.
Exactly. Exactly. That is absurd. He doesn't throw the hardest. I know I believe it was when we had Chris Hatfield on, he had mentioned how there was the tiniest uptick in fastball velocity for him. Like he was sitting more at like 91 instead of 89, 90. But don't get me wrong, velocity is very important. It's great to be able to throw 99, 100. If you're locating the way he's locating and you have good off-speed stuff, you can make it work. And if he can get that extra velo bump, awesome. But yeah, it's so fun to have Jedickson Paez back. I completely agree with Jake. He is someone that I feel like does not get the love that he probably should just for how good he is. And he does very much feel like a forgotten guy, but I would not be shocked if he makes some waves, especially I do think that'll be a tough decision for them. Do they want to push him into Double-A and see what he's got there? Or do they want to let him play in a playoff push and potentially get, a postseason or 2 postseason appearances, and help the development that way. But if he's in Double-A or if he's pitching in the postseason in High A, I feel like the buzz can build a little bit for him.
I will just bring up the fact he is Rule 5 eligible. Not that I think someone will take him.
I think we're good.
No, I think we are, but I do like it is a weird Rule 5 eligibility class for the Red Sox because like outside of Sandlin, there's maybe not like a for sure guy outside of Sandlin, right? So I think that is interesting because maybe Uberstein, right? Maybe they feel like, and I thought like I was thinking maybe he's Criswell's replacement because Criswell doesn't have options. So do they want to keep Criswell around considering he's not going to have any more options? Or Uberstein, he can be that AAA depth, right? But like I wouldn't bet all the money I have on Uberstein being added to the 40-man, right? It kind of like Mullins. Okay, yeah, Mullins, right? I think Mullins probably, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say 100%, right? I would say like 98%, right? But also too, Mullins could be traded before, or he could be added and then get traded anyways, right? Just because of the state of pitching in the org. So it is like Pius being with 5 is interesting. Not that I don't think they'll add him. I don't think he'll get picked. Just think it's an interesting thing to know. The other thing too, I do want to mention, Hunter, you bring up the fact of him throwing that sitting more 91. I don't think it's that big of an issue if he could with how he commands his pitches, how he can control the zone, the secondaries, you kind of mix everything together, and then his fastball is never going to be a big swing and miss pitch, but if he can limit hard contact on it, right, and it's not just flat and getting crushed, I think it'll work, right? This is not a comparison in any way at all. So nobody take it this way. Clayton Kershaw can barely touch 90 miles per hour and he's still a productive big leaguer. Now it's Clayton Kershaw, right? Clayton Kershaw is one of the best pitchers of his generation, if not the best, right? But the guy can barely touch 90 and he's still pitching good, really good in the big leagues, right?
That's crazy. Derrik just said that Jetixon Paez is gonna be Clayton Kershaw. That's cool. That's cool.
Thanks for putting, totally. I hope so, right? but I only bring up Kershaw. Yeah, Kershaw's older and he's been in the big leagues for how long, right? Feels like forever. But you don't need to throw. Kershaw now
you're 100%
is a prime example. You don't need to throw.
And you could point. It's not like it's just Kershaw either. You could point to Kyle Hendricks has had a very long career. He does not throw hard. You could even point to someone like Cooper Criswell, who he's not going to win any awards or anything, but he's been a solid.
He might have had the most valuable
majors.
start of the season out of nowhere for the Red Sox.
That was the game I went to. He's been a good major league contributor. There's a lot more guys that don't throw 99. I feel like than people think there are.
Yeah. And I think too, especially when you consider starting pitchers, out of the bullpen, guys touching 98, 99 feels just routine. But in the rotation, it's not. I feel like sometimes it's not as common as people make it out to be, right? You have your freaks who are pumping 99, 100 in the rotation, and sometimes your guys who aren't freaks but still throw that hard. But it's not a necessity, especially in the rotation. I think Paez very much has a chance to be a legitimate big leaguer. And he's still oh god, I just got stumped. Has anyone seen the pronunciation on his Sox prospects page? Because I don't know if it's new.
What?
It's
for who?
Jetixon Paez.
They
someone else,
changed it?
please look at this because I've
Okay. Yeah, this is great podcasting right now.
Maybe maybe that's how you say it. Maybe it's Hedixon. Maybe we've been saying it wrong. If it is, then the announcers are saying it wrong too. But
this is Sox prospects page says Hedixon.
I don't know if that's new or not, but that's interesting.
That feels new because I don't remember seeing that. Or at least Balls Street hasn't. He was out for how long? So that now I'm tripped up now. Either way,
to be fair, there was a long time where Whippleman Gonzalez in even on minor league baseball they called him Wilkelman Gonzalez.
Yes.
So maybe
and his name was spelled
just saying
wrong.
His name wrong the whole time.
Yeah. Maybe. But Paez, we've been high on him. I feel like on the show and feels like even though he doesn't throw super hard, has a legitimate chance to be the big leader. Let's move on to the hitters and just I feel like we should probably talk about the fact that Maximus Martin had 4 hits in 3 games. Obviously, had him on the show, and we're hopefully continues kind of this stretch in Greenville. Obviously, 4 hits in 3 games continues it this week. Patsy report bumps a real thing. I mean, I think it's a real thing regardless at this point. Somehow we might. I guess we have good luck or something. But him kind of, he I think actually he was tied for the team lead in hits this week. Even though he only played 3 games. So and also had 3 RBIs and drew 4 walks, reached base 8 times, right? Like I don't know what else you want him to do in 3 games.
Yeah, this was not a good week for Greenville's offense. Maximus Martin went 4 for 19 with 3 walks, or with 4 walks, like you said, 444 average. The next best batting average was Franklin Arias, who hit 235. And then there were a couple guys that hit 200. There are way too many 100s and under 100s. But they also had a weird week in the sense of like Justin Reamer got called up midweek. Johan Fran Garcia missed most of the week going to see his brother play. Maximus Martin joins the team midweek. So there was a lot of and Nazan Zanatello made his first start in forever. He had been hurt for like a month. He went 1 for 5. So like there was a lot of shuffling around, which probably does not help the lineup produce well. But it was awesome to see Maximus Martin have such a good first week. He stole a base. The eye was super impressive. And it felt like he was always in the middle of things offensively for them, which they have a couple guys who, like obviously Franklin Arias is the big name there. But they have a couple of guys who it's a very top heavy lineup is what I'm trying to say. So it was good to have them throw someone else into the lineup who was hitting, 4th, 5th, 6th, who, when he came up with people on base, you felt comfortable that he's going to drive them home. The other person I wanted to mention at all was Yoferi Rodriguez. He went 3 for 15 on the week. Obviously not great. He did hit a triple though. He had 3 RBIs, 4 runs scored, 3 walks. This was his first week back. He had missed a couple weeks due to injury. So it was that's another guy that I didn't mention that came back this week. It was good to see him back. He looks good in the outfield. The at bats for the most part looked really good. That's something I think it's kind of not to the extent of Justin Reimer. He strikes out much more than him. But he's someone who consistently seems to give the team really good at bats. And that's an important thing. And that's something I feel like Greenville's been good at all year. Obviously, Reimer was there most of the year. And then you have Yoferi Rodriguez, you have Nelly Taylor, which is very important because then at the top of the lineup, you have Franklin Arias, who we talked about last week. Like the contact rate is so ridiculous that he's usually having very short at bats. So it's good to see.
Which has changed as of late.
Yeah. He did have 5 walks this week, which was
7
awesome.
walks in his last 10.
But so it's good to see them having guys in the lineup, and you can now add Maximus Martin to that list, who are drawing walks because it helps a lineup that has struggled for a while. When they are struggling, it's good to have people that will get on base and maybe make something happen.
Yeah, Arias had a stretch of games from the June 28th doubleheader through the August 2nd game where he had no walks in every game except for a 2-walk game on July 12th. However, in his last 16 games, Arias has 12 walks. And he still only got 6 strikeouts, right? So he's not striking out. That span, he's only hitting 233, but the 370 on base is really kind of a standout thing. His BABIP has been low, which I think I mentioned last week, and kind of just like it feels like he's almost too good at making contact, right? It's a issue that like some guys, like almost like Cesar Rafaela almost had the issue where it's a different issue, right, with Rafaela. But like in terms of like Rafaela would swing at pitches that he had no business hitting, and he would hit and turn them into singles, right? And it's like okay, like why'd you swing at it? But also too, you got to hit, right? So like, in the grand scheme, like result wise, it's I guess he did good, but grand scheme of things,
like, we talk about it with pitchers a lot, how they'll have them working on a specific thing, like, oh, you're throwing the curveball in this count, whatever it is. I'm curious if that's something that they've really tried to hammer home with Franklin Arias lately is, hey, don't swing at the first 2 pitches this game or something, like every at bat, don't swing at the first 2 pitches or whatever it is, because it does seem like that it's been a very drastic turnaround for his at bats the last couple of weeks. And like the power hasn't been crazy or anything, but he's having much better at bats lately, which is something that will help him exponentially grow as a prospect.
Yeah, it's funny because last week I said he almost could benefit almost from a little bit of swing and miss just because he's so good at like getting the bat to the ball. I don't mean that in like we want him to swing and miss, but like so like it just like kind of the idea of like if he's aggressive, it's almost like the issue with like Luis Ariz is never going to hit for power because he's so good at putting the bat on the ball and he's so aggressive sometimes. Where he's not getting deep counts because when he swings, like it's almost a guarantee he's putting the bat on the ball and the ball's going to end up in play, right?
That RBI double he had against the Red Sox pissed me off so bad.
Oh, it pissed me off.
That was like a foot outside and on the plate.
Yeah, you have no business swinging at it.
Absurd, and he just hit it to left field left field for a double. I was so mad.
Yeah, it's the it's so weird to say like Arias could benefit from swing and miss. And I don't mean like you don't want him to swing and miss, but it's almost funny that like if he sees a few more pitches, maybe he swings and misses on the one that he makes contact on. Maybe later in the count he gets a pitch that he drives, right?
Yeah.
So it is like if it could also be the thing too. You're working more kind of deeper into the at bat.
Yeah, it's more just swing decisions and
it's
recognizing this isn't the pitch you're going to do anything with.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of it, right? And the grand scheme of things. Me saying we can kind of swing and miss. No, it's not necessarily swing and miss, obviously. But this is more so the idea of like if he would have swung and miss on this first pitch at the at bat that was a strike but a borderline pitch, right? That you're not really going to do much with. If he would have swung and missed at that, and then maybe later in this hypothetical at bat, he could have maybe gotten a pitch that was maybe over the middle of the plate, right? And with his contacts, with him, his bat to ball ability, like you throw a pitch over the middle of the plate, like if it feels like a very good chance he's going to get a hit, right? But the at-bats, like you did mention, there's been a big difference. His last, like I mentioned, the last 16 games, 12 walks. So 73 plate appearances, 12 walks in those 73 plate appearances. He's also got 14 hits, so he's reached base. He has been hit by a pitch once as well. So he's reached base 27 times just from hits, walks, and the singular hit by pitch in his last 73 plate appearances. So it's getting on base, even if the hits aren't coming in bunches, which is nice to see.
I think that's it.
I think that's it. I'm looking at Greenville right now, and I'm looking at him like anything else.
Yeah, not a great week, but
yeah, it wasn't.
I think one thing to add, and I don't know that when this happened exactly, but unfortunately, like Henry Godbout is on the IL, so hopefully he can come back before the end of the year. But obviously, time is running out. But again, Greenville's in the playoff hunt, so maybe he does come back before the end of the year.
Yep. With that, we're going to continue going pitchers first. Salem, Yoiker Fajardo is a dog. He's a guy. What are we calling him? Are we calling him Big Yoik, the Yoikster? Like what's the nickname here? I don't know, but we'll figure it out because
we'll get back to you on that.
we'll figure it out.
Let us know. Leave us a comment under the video.
Speaking of nicknames, are we officially calling Johan Fran Garcia? Just stop. Are we officially calling Johan Fran Garcia the username? Because it feels kind of corny to me.
It's what people in the organization call him.
Okay, all right. Well,
okay. Then I'll go with that because
I don't love that personally. But
I'm not the biggest fan. But when I went to Reading, that was one of the Red Sox scouts were there, and he was like, "Yeah, that's what people in the organization are calling him." And then I think like a fan said it to me on Twitter, and I was like, "Yeah, that's what people in the organization call him," and it's sticking a lot more than I hoped.
I've seen it stick on
I would
Twitter,
rather them let him be his own person. Like he's a very good prospect, and they're just like, "Oh, let's give him a bad nickname because it's connected to his brother's cool nickname."
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I don't know. Can we get Johan for a better nickname, and can we get Yoiker Fajardo?
Apparently, he likes it though too. So whatever. If he likes it,
it's not a bad nick. Okay, it's not bad. It's just kind of like I don't know. It's like, I mean, I guess cool. I mean, he probably loves his brother, and like it's probably cool for him. But like it does feel a little bit corny in some ways. But we need to get Yoiker Fajardo a nickname. The two games, obviously, the first game kind of got crapped on. There's not much he could really do in that sense. But in total for the week, it's officially listed as 2 starts, 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 9 strikeouts, no walks, and he didn't hit anyone either. Just continuing to have a really, really good season. And his first couple starts in Salem were, he struggled, but it's really his last 6 starts, he's given up no runs in all but one of them. I think it's his last 6, if I'm counting correctly. Obviously, the start on the 21st doesn't really, do much because 1 inning game gets thrown away. Pretty much, not much you can really do there. Or I should say, game gets thrown away, but gets, what's the word I'm looking for?
Postponed.
Thank you. Game gets postponed. Game gets postponed. He only pitches 1 inning. Not much you can do about that. Comes back on the 24th, and then 6 shutout, 2 hits, 8 strikeouts. Tied career high as well in strike, or at least season high.
No, season high, yeah.
Affiliated ball high, which technically is only this year. So, but I was going for affiliated career high. But yes, 8 strikeouts for Fargo. Just stellar. I think it's a 2.08 ERA in the year. Get him a nickname, someone, please.
Yeah, I was upset that first start. I was mad. I was like, oh man, we just got robbed of a Yoichi Gerardo start. This sucks. I guess it technically ended up working out because he wouldn't have started the last game of the week, which he ended up shoving in. But yeah, he's been absurd. I don't even want to say struggled, but he wasn't great his first few times out in single A, and he very quickly found his footing and has become a completely different level of dominance. Like I'm pretty sure 2 of his last 3 starts, not counting that 1 inning start, he struck out the first 4 or 5 batters both times. This time I think it was 5. It's like he's just toying with the lineups. It's gotten to the point where it feels like every time he's starting, you can pencil it in as this is going to be 5+ innings of just really good pitching, maybe allowing 1 run and striking out a good amount of people. But yeah, it was good to see, a career high 6 innings, tied the season high with 8 strikeouts, didn't walk anyone. It's hard to get much more efficient than that. He was not at a lot of pitches. I think he was at 52 pitches or something after 5 innings. And then they had a 45-minute rain delay, and I was mad because I was like, God, again, we're going to get a shortened start. And he did end up coming out for another inning. And they probably would have capped him at 6 innings anyway, even if he had only thrown 40 pitches. I still feel like you want to cap people at innings 2 at that level because it's still, you're sitting up and you're not pitching for 15 minutes and then you're pitching again. And that also messes with an arm. But I would have been intrigued to see if they let him go out there for maybe at least 1 more inning if there was no rain delay.
I also mentioned him last week, Brady Tiger. He pitched in 1 game, 3 2/3 innings, 6 strikeouts, 1 hit, just the 1 walk, no runs. Did hit 2 batters, but you know what? Some may say, don't know who that may be, but some may say that it's more efficient pitch-wise. I don't know.
You're the one that says that. You should take credit. You should own your takes. Own that take. Yeah. I just want to mention, he wasn't the most efficient outing, but Jesus Travioso was pitched out of the bullpen. He went 4 innings. He did give up 5 hits, but he also had 8 strikeouts and just 1 walk. So, and just allowed 1 earned run. I think it's such a fascinating group of pitchers, guys that had pitched in FCL earlier this year. Jose Bayo also pitched out of the bullpen. He wasn't quite as good, but it's just such an interesting group of pitchers that they have there. And I think that also this I I should have looked this up. Somebody from the draft class, a pitcher. It's Patrick Gal. Is that how we say his name? Gale.
Maybe.
I think it's Gal. It's okay. I'm looking. Sox process is Gale. Patrick Gale, the first pitcher from the draft class to debut at an affiliate this year. We had talked to Marcus Phillips, and we knew that he had been shut down, and he wasn't going to continue. He wasn't going to pitch the rest of this year in affiliated ball. We weren't sure if we were going to see any of the guys from the the draft class make their debuts. But Patrick Gallet did pitch. He went 1 inning, he went 2 innings, scoreless, no hits, but did allow 2 walks, but did not allow a run. And he was the Red Sox 17th round pick out of Ole Miss, one of the many SEC pitchers that the Red Sox took in the draft this year.
I just have a quick note on Jesus Treviso. Rough first outing in Salem, but outside of that, he's been phenomenal. In 17 1/3 innings in the month of August, he has 28 strikeouts. So this was not just like a one-time thing of him striking people out. He has been really filthy. And I know that Chris Hatfield and Ian Cundall, or one of them at least, was in Salem last week, or like 2 weeks ago, I guess, technically. And he was someone that they highlighted as being very impressive. And when they talk, you should probably listen. So that's definitely someone that should pique the interest of a lot of Red Sox fans.
Yeah. I don't have anything else on the pitching side.
Nope.
While you guys are talking, I was just doing some digging on Justin Gonzalez, just because I felt like it. His last 73 games, 318, 394, 452, 22 doubles, 2 triples, and 4 homers. And then in the last 28 days, so the last 4 weeks, 23 games, 348, 408, 543. Also, is Justin Gonzalez the biggest leadoff hitter ever? Like, actually, like,
I mean, hasn't Judge led off? Like, Judge has led off for the Yankees for sure.
Has he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he definitely has.
I feel like I would remember if he has, but also too, my memory sucks. So
there was a while. It looks like it says most notably in 2022 and earlier in his career. I don't know that he's done it much the last like 2 or 3 years, but he did.
He's had 36 games where he's hit leadoff.
There you go. So, and we've
That's not really a leadoff.
Maximus confirmed that Justin Gonzalez is not as tall as Aaron Judge.
Well, true.
Yet. That was the thing I wanted to mention is Justin Gonzalez still growing? It's possible. Not unlikely. It's just funny it was funny to hear Maximus talk about like how he's just like, I mean this in the best way. Like he's just like a big baby. Like he's just like he's a big child. He's a huge child. He's a massive child. And it's going to be funny to watch him. He's 18. He's only 18.
It's absurd.
And he is huge. He is just a massive human being. And it's going to be fun to watch him continue to grow up in the Red Sox organization.
Yeah, it's scary what Justin Gonzalez could potentially become. If you break it up kind of like month by month, in July and August he's played 21 and 20 games, 333, 389, 483, and then 338, 400, 525. So he's just really finding his stride. It's absurd. His last 40 games, he's hitting 339 with a 901 OPS. It's stupid. It's stupid. He's got 17 doubles. Sorry, 17 doubles and 21 extra base hits in his last 40 games. He's averaging an extra base hit every other game. Like,
yeah, this week he was 8 for 23 with 4 doubles.
Yeah,
one of the doubles.
It's dumb.
One of the doubles was a Salem double. He hit it like 105,000 miles off the bat. It hit the top of the wall in right field. Like it should have been a home run. Yeah. It's very hard to find many things to talk about. He needs to hit the ball in the air more. That's like his one issue is he grounds out too much.
But like
he's 18. He has time to figure it out.
Swing and miss. He doesn't strike out a ton for his considering his size.
Yeah, he's got a great eye.
Right,
and I mean that was the complaint with Roman Anthony too, was he needs to not hit the ball on the ground. That worked out fine. I'm not saying he's going to be Roman Anthony. Roman Anthony is.
Oh, you're saying Justin Gonzalez is Roman Anthony?
Yeah, I deserve that. But like that was the main complaint with him. Like it's not a reason to get too down on an 18-year-old.
Yeah. Well, Jake said he's still growing. So what is he going to be Aaron Judge too? Because like
I don't know.
I would love it,
but it seems
possible. No, Justin Gonzalez is going to be better than Aaron Judge. You know, he's going to be better. You know. Justin Gonzalez is going to end his career with like 800 home runs. And, you know, I'm kidding. But if that does happen, I am coming back to this and saying I predicted it.
Sure, if Justin Gonzalez hits 800 home runs, you can come back and
Yeah.
play.
On the slimmest of chances it happens.
You never know.
You do never know. But I think just like the idea too, it feels like a lot of big guys. I don't mean to hate on him, but I'm gonna hate on him. Spencer Jones, Mr. 5 million strikeouts. And Justin Gonzalez, another big individual, 24 strikeouts in his last 40 games. I'm just saying. Especially in the low levels too. Like you are more likely to see guys who strike out a lot in the low levels. And Justin Gonzalez just doesn't strike out, right? And guys his size typically are more strikeout prone. Also, their strike zone is bigger, so when you have pitchers who sometimes aren't the best with their command, they have more of a margin to miss because the strike zone doesn't get bigger width-wise, but it gets bigger, up and down. Or would that be lengthwise? I don't know. My brain's gone. It's impressive though that he doesn't strike
absolutely.
out. It's very impressive. On another note, I guess I will mention Gerardo Rodriguez. He had 3 hits, including a double and homer, and he also walked 4 times. So if we're kind of talking about Justin Gonzalez and his eye, with Rodriguez this week, reaching base 7 times in 5 games. 471 on base for the week. I mean, solid. There's catchers in general I feel are very interesting because Clayver Salazar also had 3 hits this week, and he had a double and he walked twice as well. So, and I guess if you want to just chuck another, person into the mix, if we're talking people, listed as catchers, Caleb Berry had 2 hits in 1 game. So we want to just continue throwing in our listed catchers.
Caleb Berry, that's the guy that they signed from Michigan State as the undrafted free agent. The guy that they signed because they didn't actually draft any catchers.
Yes, exactly. We want to continue throwing our catchers out there, Also, if we want to continue catchers, Frederick Jimenez had 3 hits this week, right? Give, I guess, the catcher
he's basically a first baseman at this point.
Well, he's listed as a catcher, though, so you know what? I'm counting him. This is fitting my agenda, okay?
Yeah, and sometimes they still list Alan Castro as a second baseman.
Yeah.
Hey, some could say the Red Sox need a second baseman. Some have said it for years.
It's true.
I mean, hey, Alan Castro, next great Red Sox second baseman. Who knows? Weirder things have happened.
Have they?
Yeah. There's definitely been weirder things. Anthony Rendon hitting a home run left-handed is proof. And not injuring himself at the same time.
Yeah, because that's usually what happens with him.
Gerardo Rodriguez, though, I think the big talking point with him has always just been that there's 0 power in his bat. He came up to Salem for 9 games last year, and he hit really well, but they were all singles, a lot of infield singles. He didn't have a home run in the FCL this year. 13 games in single A, he's got 3 home runs, which ties a career high for any other full season that he's played in. So I don't know if this is just a random hot streak or if they've tweaked something to unlock a little bit of power at least. But he's been phenomenal offensively since getting up there, which is an awesome development considering he is heralded for being a fantastic defensive catcher. So if they can add some offense to his bat, that would be a big thing. He kind of reminds me of Ender Solera, where when he got promoted to single A, it was hey, this is a ridiculously good defensive catcher. We just need him to figure out the offense a little bit at least. And didn't really work out all that well for Ender Solera, but it seems like Gerardo Rodriguez has something has clicked for him, at least for a couple weeks. And if the bat is legitimate, then he is a very, very, very good catching prospect.
I don't know. I don't even know where my brain's going. I was just thinking. So the Salem Red Sox posted their rebrand. And I say rebrand in air quotes. Playing off the Cracker Barrel logo rebrand. I was just looking through single A teams. if the Salem Red Sox name themselves something I can't pronounce, I am going to be very sad.
Oh man, that's gonna be the dream.
Because I'm
What
looking
team
at like
can't you pronounce?
the Quakes, whatever they're stupid Rancho, whatever the flip.
Rancho Cucamonga?
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's the name of the town.
place, though,
That's not the
yeah.
name.
you know what I mean.
No, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah.
You're not talking about the nickname of the team. You're talking about the name of the town that the team plays in.
Well, the Bowie Bay Sox changed to the Chesapeake Bays because they're stupid. Then they changed to Chesapeake.
Okay, once again, you've described the name of a place.
Yeah, but they rebranded.
Salem has already
and
said they're not
changed.
moving or anything, so you're
Yeah.
fine.
Bowie didn't move, right? Or am I stupid? Didn't they just change?
I don't know the answer to that.
They didn't move. I don't think. I thought they didn't move. I thought they just changed the name.
Well, hopefully they will take your
Please don't be something
pronunciation.
stupid like the Lansing Lugnuts. Okay.
Oh,
Like,
I think that's
please
fun.
be something stupid.
I think that's funny. Yeah,
I'm begging you to be
stupid.
something
Please.
stupid.
or the
Yeah.
Hillsboro Hops.
like
come on.
the trash pandas or whatever. Like, please, like
No,
or
that's
the
fun. No,
That's what I'm saying. But that's like kind of stupid too, though.
The
like,
lug
but it's
nuts
like-
is stupid, not fun.
Oh, that's fantastic. The
that's
the
like-
Modesto nuts. Like, come on, man, that's amazing.
that
I
could
just-
be played.
I
on,
just
though.
don't want the Red Sox. It's boring.
no,
I don't
yeah,
want
they're
the
getting
Red
rid of
Sox
it. That's
either.
why.
But like, I don't like. Can we not do something like? I don't know, like the Fayetteville Woodpeckers. Like, okay,
That's great. Like I don't.
it's lame.
I like it.
Like the Daytona Tortugas is fun, right? Like,
That's fun. I
but
agree.
like,
But-
or like the Inland Empire 66ers is.
I think that must have something to do with Highway 66. Is my guess.
It's still lame,
I don't disagree.
or the Stockton Ports, like, bleh.
Hmm.
Or the Vasilia Rawhide. I don't even like where's a Vasilia.
Rawhide. Is it a baseball is made out of rawhide? That's
Yeah, but like
or
for a
maybe
team
not
name,
actually, but you know.
But for a team name though, like come on, it's stupid.
all improvements over just being your
Yeah,
major league
the Red
club's
Sox.
name.
I'm excited to see what they come up with.
Oh, I'm excited, but like, I don't know. It's kind of, you know, there's some bad ones, like the Cedar Rapids Colonels, like, but like,
Agree to disagree. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I like that.
no. It's not.
Okay.
If they were the Colonel Sanders, that would be fun. Funny.
That would be funny if Louisville they changed their name to the Louisville Colonel Sanders.
Yes.
That would be funny.
Like
That would be the only place where they could do
That's-
that.
that's true.
But you know.
Like the Knoxville Smokies should have their mascot just have like a cigar.
Yeah. Okay, I assume we're done with Salem.
Yes.
I do have the DSL. They are
Yes,
in,
we'll wrap it
they're in
up with the DSL.
They're in the playoffs. They played
Yes.
the first semifinal game today for the DSL. As we recall, last year the DSL Red Sox won the championship. They lost. It's a best of 3 semifinal. They did lose today. Dorian Soto did have a base hit and a run scored. Louis Andahar had 2 hits. But yeah, the final score was 9-1, so not really a great pitching performance today. But they will play. So again, today's Monday. They will play the second game tomorrow. And they need to win. If they don't win, then the DSL season is over. But either way, making the playoffs good for the DSL, for the blue team. And usually the way it happens is like the red team they'll kind of like steal players from the red team for the playoffs, which I assume they did this time.
I know Dorian Soto got
I was
transferred.
about to say.
Yeah, he got So that's par for the course. Dorian Soto, like I was looking at his numbers, like he had kind of a rough month of August so far after being really good the first few months of the season. So hopefully he can have a good game tomorrow and the next week we can talk about them on a playoff run. But right now their season is on the brink. They got to win tomorrow or else their season's over.
Perfect. Don't have to get surprised because we're already over the 2.5 hour mark. Last thing, can we get Justin Gonzalez a number that's not number 1? Just like it's a
You
small
are
number
throwing
on a
out
mass-
terrible takes.
Yeah,
It
you're
is
just like a
small number on
a
massive
cornucopia
guy.
of bad takes, especially in the second hour or the
It's
third
a
hour.
small
of this
number
show.
on a small number on a massive guy.
It's why it works.
No, it
Being
doesn't.
number 1 and being the biggest dude on the field is awesome.
Not
Yeah,
like
I like it.
nah.
It makes me think of like my favorite football team and college football team is Michigan, even though I didn't go there. But like Michigan historically, like the number one receiver wears the number one. Like Braylon Edwards wore it, and like a bunch of other guys. And so that's why I think it was like the
See,
big
my
like, number
my
one.
idea is the number one should be reserved for the backup catcher that sucks. So when he puts his catching gear on, you can't see the number. So it's almost like he's not worthy of a number.
That's just mean.
You need to go to bed. I'm banishing you to sleep. Get some sleep, Derek. You only got 2 hours of sleep last night, and it's having an effect on your takes.
Give him
I mean,
like
seriously,
a cool
these
number,
are-
like give him I was gonna say 21, but like the Red Sox will never give 21 out for whatever stupid reason outside of Clemens, even though they won't retire the number. I don't know. If you're not gonna retire the number, just give it out. Like, come on. I don't know how to retire the number. I don't know. Like
The number
point?
one is retired with the Red Sox. I mean, so
Yeah, there you go. So
he's
if
gonna
he
get moved
ever
off
makes
then.
it to the show with the Red Sox, you don't have to worry about
yeah,
that.
I don't
That is
have to shout out to Bobby Dorr, who is no longer alive, but shout out to him.
Shout out to Bobby Dorr. Or we're just gonna give out shout outs to everyone.
Yes.
No, you're gonna go to bed.
Shout out to Babe Ruth's wife, who definitely wasn't murdered.
We are not getting into that. We could do another 2.5 hours on that. We're not getting into that.
All right. With that, we are going to wrap this up before this gets any more wacky and wild. Guess the prospect will be returning next week.
We haven't had like the three of us on a show in a while, so I
Yes.
don't even know what is the standing right now, Hunter. You must have. It's literally been like a month since the last time the three of us were on a show together. So
Oh,
that's
last year's.
oh, shit. I hope you didn't lose it because
No, it's right here.
I literally have no idea. I think
We
I
can-
caught
I mean,
up.
we can always
I
go
am winning
back.
7-5.
Okay, so we
All
have,
right.
and we've got at least I think 4 or 5 more shows left.
Yeah,
so.
we'll be good.
All right.
So, definitely. So also, I will just mention this. I mentioned this in our group chat between the three of us. But for any of our listeners who care, our 100th minor league episode for the Pesky Report will be coming up in September. So yay to us.
This was 96, right? That's what I
Something like
have.
that.
I have
think
it
so.
marked as 96.
So yay to us. But yeah, with that, we're gonna wrap it up. As always, for Jake and Hunter, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in to the Pesky Report, and we will see you next week on another edition of the Minor League Show.